You damn right. Hope everybody is having a good Thursday. A little less of a Thursday if you're in Miami today rooting for the Heat. Denver takes a 2-1 series lead in Game 3 last night. There's some other NBA news to get into. Big name released. There's NFL news to get into. Big name released. And a Cowboys head coach asked about it. We'll get to that. More on the return of the House Divided. Also, an update on Texas Longhorn football. That if you're a fan, you're going to want to hear this one. Chad and Zay on a Thursday. I'm Chad Hastings, and he is a Texas Longhorn football fan, among other things. Isaiah Collier. What's up, Zay?
What up, Chad? What's poppin'? Austin, Texas. Happy Thursday, everybody. How you doing?
Woo, I'm doing well. There's a lot of good stuff to get into today, but mainly, I'm going to be done with this show today knowing what you think of Face Off. I cannot wait for the movie album swap. I listened to Ludacris's Word of Mouth, and Zay watched Face Off. I didn't even realize that. We didn't even plan that. We're talking faces and mouths today.
Yeah.
In the movie album swap. That's at 2:05. And for those of you that might think that one of these is a joke and one of these is not, I'm just going to let y'all know one got nominated for a Grammy and one got nominated for an Oscar. I'm just letting you know now. For those of you that might want to dog on the movie Face Off. We'll get to all that. It is a Thursday, getting closer to Texas baseball in the Super Regionals. That game is, of course, Saturday at 5. Texas at Stanford. Craig Way, as I'm sure you heard him like the tower, headed out to Cali to get set up for all of that. 5 o'clock start, 4:45 pregame on Saturday. Right now, we're still in a TBA situation for Sunday's game, which has to happen, and obviously Monday's game if necessary. So just keep it right here. Keep checking TexasSports.com, HornFM.com, all of our social media, and we'll let you know when we hear those updates. All right, Zay, let's start with this NBA game. We'll get to the Texas Longhorn football thing, this segment as well, but Denver made you look smart and made me look smart last night. We both picked them in 5, and they really took control of that game. One of the last things I said yesterday was go get it. Go act like a number 1 seed. That felt like a number 1 seed to me last night.
Yeah, it did. And shout out to Mike Malone. He kind of went against the grain with the minutes that he usually gives his superstars, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Both of those guys clocked in around 44, 45 minutes last night, and it was all needed because both of them put up historic triple-doubles. That was one of the most impressive two-man games that I've ever seen at this stage of the NBA Finals, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. Like I told y'all yesterday, what they should do, get back to the two-man game. It don't matter. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are guarding you. Go at them.
Mm-hmm.
And they will not be able to stop it because Nikola Jokic, he's unstoppable. And then once he starts scoring down low, then Jamal Murray, it's going to open up his game from those dribble handoff threes to those off-the-dribble step-back jumpers. He was terrific too. And when Jamal Murray, when he starts passing, which a lot of their assists came to one another, just Jamal Murray coming off that pick and roll and Nikola Jokic stopping in that Dylan Disu sweet spot, not going all the way to the rim and knocking down that floater, which Nikola Jokic, I'm just so amazed by his touch. It's ridiculous. Somebody that big shouldn't have touch like that. Remember Shaq and his free throws. Like somebody that big, the size hands and stuff, it's hard to guide that ball.
Yeah, it's like he was holding a grapefruit for the rest of us.
Yeah, it's a joke. While pun intended, Joker, he's out here just balls barely bouncing around the rim. Jeff Van Gundy points it out every game, and I love that he does it because it's something that is so skilled and so detailed, but people forget about it. Like people just think, oh, it's the NBA. We're used to big men doing this stuff. No, we're not. He made a move last night, Chad. He did like a butter roll, finger roll off of like a closeout play that guards make. Run dribble, get to the rim, nice little scoopty scoop layup, And I'm just like, dude, this is ridiculous. Then he has another player. He gets the ball at the elbow, mouse of the house. He does a quick spin. He doesn't hook. He's smart. He'll use his elbow as a hook instead of his arm, which is legal. And you can get away with that just if you don't actually elbow the guy.
Right.
If you slightly just like smooth it over the hip, you got to get low. He does that better than a lot of people in the association. And then he gets to that nice little floater. And they were killing them in the paint all game long. 60 points in the paint to Miami's 34. And they said, you know what? We really struggled from three-point land in game 2. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he wasn't knocking down shots. Michael Porter Jr., Bruce Brown, all those guys that have been knocking down shots all playoffs long. Game 2, they weren't doing that. So to avoid all that, we're just going to beat them up inside. And I love what Aaron Gordon did on sealing his man. Every time Nikola Jokic got the ball on a pick and roll, Michael Porter Jr. or Aaron Gordon, they would cut to the basket or seal their man off because they would have a mismatch because Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., both of those guys are around 6'10", even though MPJ had 2 points. He had 7 big-time rebounds, and Gordon had 11 huge points. And maybe the player of the game, not named Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, Christian Brown. No, I know my man Keenan Womack somewhere was getting hype, and I was too, because I remember being on B&E show running their board and telling those guys, yo, watch this guy when they won that championship with Kansas. He's going to help a team. So I don't know who it is, but somebody's going to get a steal. And I think he got selected around 19th for Denver. That was a huge pickup because 7 for 8, that big time 15 points only on 19 minutes. Talking about cutting at the right time when he started putting the ball on the deck, the nasty dunk that he had in the open break where he looked in the crowd and stuff, just momentum shifts. Like that's a great move by Mike Malone that I thought he didn't make in game 2. In game 2, you played Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who was trash. You played him way too much. This game, you felt the game a little bit more. You read the game a little bit more like a coach should and realized Bruce Brown and Christian Brown, they look good out there. Bruce Brown didn't shoot the ball well, but he had 3 huge blocks.
Yeah. Well, and a couple of your big guys that you needed, the extra guys, Porter and Caldwell-Pope, as you were talking, combined 1 for 11. So they're not giving you what you need. Brown was massive, the little tip away and dunk on the finish on the other end. 7 of 8. He missed the 3 he took, but 7 of 8, hit the free throw that he got off of an and 1, and 15 off the bench was critical.
Yeah, it's huge, man. And you look at the Miami Heat, I mean, what the Nuggets did to the Heat is what the Heat did to the Nuggets in game 2. We're going to allow Joker to score, and we're going to try to stop everybody else. We're going to allow Jimmy Butler and Bam to score. If Miami's not knocking down threes, Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, Kevin Love, Max Strus, they're in trouble. They're a different team. Jimmy does not want to go for 40. I know everybody's been talking about where's Jimmy Butler been. Yeah. He has been the same Jimmy Butler since the Bucks, Knicks, and the Celtics series. What's he doing? I thought that he was the aggressor last night, but that played into their hands. And in game 2, like Mike Malone said, they played really dumb, the Nuggets did. Really dumb. Just elementary mistakes that at this level you can't make. Like talking on defense. You should not have miscommunication on defensive assignments on simple pin down screens. In the NBA, that should never happen. They probably had about 10 of those. I want to say Mike Malone broke down the film and pointed out 16 mistakes they had defensively. And all of that changed in game 3. They stuck to their man. They stayed disciplined. They weren't biting on pump fakes and stuff. They realized that, Duncan Robinson, he might put it on the floor every once in a while, but I'm going to be locked in, and every time he goes off the screen, I'm going to be in that hip pocket. Christian Brown was really good at that. I saw Michael Porter Jr. at times. He was really good at that. And as good as Bam Adebayo's been and Jimmy Butler, as good as he was, if the Heat aren't making three-point shots, they're in trouble, especially with a team this superior in the Denver Nuggets.
31% from the three-point line were the Heat last night. So 3 layers of history from last night's game. This is wild stuff. Zay mentioned the unique triple-doubles for Jokic and Murray. So Joker had 32, 20, and 21 and 10. He is the first player to have a 30 and 20 triple-double in a finals game. That's part 1. Part 2 is Murray. Murray had 10 assists last night, meaning he's had 10 assists in all 3 games in this series. First player ever to have 10 assists in the first 3 finals games he ever plays. That's part 2. Part 3, they each had, 32, 21, and 10. Murray had 34, 10, and 10. Zay, that is the first time 2 teammates have had a 30-point triple-double ever. Regular season, playoffs, finals, ever in an NBA game played on planet Earth.
That's stupid.
That's incredible.
That's stupid.
Again, back to those 2 guys, but think of every great duo you love that none of them ever did it, and these 2 guys just did.
All the way back, even though Red Auerbach was cheating his ass off, go all the way back to Cousy and, Bill Russell.
Sure.
Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain. They weren't doing anything.
Havlicek somebody.
Havlicek somebody.
Magic and anybody.
You know what I'm saying? It's nuts. And they're breaking records. They're making it look easy. And I know Jamal Murray, he took it upon himself as, hey, I missed that big shot that could have taken us into overtime and maybe won us a game in game 2. And he came out, and as good as defender Jimmy Butler was, they had to switch the matchup because they were eating those guys alive, and Jimmy Butler was probably getting tired out because they probably didn't know, they probably didn't realize, these guys are just going to go 2-man game every single time they get the ball. This is a lot.
And by the end, I think it was 0 for 2 for Jimmy Butler in the fourth quarter. You could see his gas tank emptying out in that third quarter. By the time he got to the fourth quarter, there was very little left for him to really make a push.
I saw a lot of tired guys up there. Jamal Murray at times defensively, he wasn't getting out to his man. And I was like, I know that drives Mike Malone crazy. Yeah. So there's a lot of tired guys at this point in the season. It's been a long 82-game season. Going through those 3 rounds is tough. It's not like back in the day where it was a best of 5. We were watching the 2001 Philadelphia special, and they talked about that first round against Indiana, and I was like, best of 5? Oh yeah, they did do that. That extra game, it definitely means something and adds to your durability. But like I've been saying this whole playoffs, it exposes you no matter what, from your coaching strategy, philosophy, where your coach can make changes within the game and play chess, make chess moves out there, to your players being durable, being disciplined enough, understanding that you got to take care of your bodies in the off season, because once this time comes, you don't know how you're going to feel, especially the guys that have never done it before. Mm-hmm. That's why the Christian Braun thing is so impressive. Like, this dude was literally just in Lawrence, Kansas a year ago today, basically. Right. He was probably prepping for the draft, but a year ago, he was playing for Bill Self. And that's a big reason why he's producing like this, because he played for arguably the best coach in college basketball at this moment. Mm-hmm. And he played in national championship games, and it's Kansas. Like, he ain't afraid of this moment at all. And he showed that. I thought it was a good move to stick with him. And I think Miami, I think they're in trouble, because now Denver's not going to stop doing what they're doing. All you could say is, now we're going to have to let them shoot threes now. Now we're going to have to double Joker and double Jamal Murray and pray that Michael Porter Jr., Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Bruce Brown don't make the threes that they've been making all playoffs long.
Yeah, and then you got to make a ton of them.
Yeah.
You got to be like Boston wants to be. Just make a ton. Shoot 40 of them and make a lot.
Yeah, and that's the strategy thing. We were literally just talking about the opposite last time, mm-hmm. and about how good of a, game plan it was, just letting Joker eat and stopping everybody else. But now, when Mike Malone's just saying, okay, we're just going to put Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic and pick and roll action and dribble loop action the whole time against Miami's 2 best players, and we're just going to beat them down low, because this is the playoff. The refs, they don't want to call much. Remember that game 1? Miami took 2 free throws that game. Yep. And where's Highsmith? Yeah. Highsmith played that game. I haven't really seen him much in these last few games. Think about Caleb Martin. He won them that series against Boston.
Highsmith had 2 minutes last night.
So, like, Erik Spoelstra, as good as he's been playoffs long, now he's starting to get all over the place. Yeah. And he's trying to figure things out. And now that you're down 2-1, it's going to be interesting what they do and how they go about game 4.
I think deep down we all should have realized, and I heard Rod in the afternoon, guys, and Harge and Patrick say this too, there was a nervous anger about what he did to Ramona Shelburne. It wasn't about Ramona Shelburne. It wasn't about Joker. It was about his nervousness, I think, for the overall series. He's on a weird edge right now, and I think he almost knows what's coming. He knows he's got a really weird matchup in this series. Last night was obviously tough for them. We'll see how they bounce back. Hey, great news. We don't have to have 2 days off between this. They're doing it tomorrow night.
Okay.
Tomorrow night
I'm talking about
is Game 4. We'll also get to the NBA big name release of the day, and it is CP3 that's going to be released by Phoenix, because otherwise they'd have to pay like 4 guys $30 million. And even now, even this NBA, you can't really get away with that. But I do want to make sure that we get this other story out. It's a fascinating conversation to have. If you are a Longhorn football fan, pay attention to this one, because I think it's going to be important to just keep an eye on it. And also know that other fan bases are probably going to rip you a little bit for this one. But it's something that might be good news in the end. So, Zay, I'm driving in listening to Jeff Howe on Light the Tower. Shout out to horns247.com. You can go to their site and see their insider piece this week with info on summer workouts. One of the nuggets of information they got from summer workouts is Texas football is changing the way they send in plays, the way they signal plays. Because the thought is, Zay, that maybe a team or 2 or more, not sure about the number, but that opponents may have known what was going on with Texas at times last season. And somehow they've been able to detect this, and so they've decided to change the way they send signals.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts here as a fan.
I'm pretty salty, not going to lie. And I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but when you hear the games that it might have affected, it really hurts, because those were games that you were right there. And for the other team to maybe have an advantage because you didn't do a good job with your coaching, like, this is a coaching mistake. And the only thing I could think about is him trying to dumb down the offense for his freshman quarterback, Quinn Ewers.
To keep it simple and not change as they're going, right?
Yeah, because he can't handle all that. Or Sark didn't have confidence in him handling all that, which, along with all the other problems we saw, the second half issues, Bijan Robinson not getting the ball enough, throwing it to Xavier Worthy when he has a broken freaking hand, at this being added, it hurts.
Yeah.
It really hurts, and it's very unprofessional. I hope that it's not the case. Like, it's not just this point blank, like, oh, people were literally stealing stuff from y'all because y'all were making it so obvious with your play call. I really don't want it to be that, because this is the University of Texas, and this is big-time Power 5 football. Those things are just unacceptable. Point blank, period.
Yeah, the 2 games I heard Jeff mention as I'm driving in, the first one that blinked at me when he started talking was Bama, and I thought, well, Saban, the time he spent it, Bama was mentioned, TCU was mentioned. Like you said, 2 close games, 2 close home games that Texas ended up losing, and 2 coaches that have been around the block. Zay, between Nick Saban and Sonny Dykes, they've coached a few games. So maybe something was detected that way. We haven't heard the details. I don't think and again, go check out horns247.com for all those the details on it. But I don't know if we're going to get specifics on it for a while. Maybe Sark will address it at some point. But there's also some thought that these 3 new guys are brought in, 3 new analysts, 3 new pairs of eyes, that either Christ or D. Camillus or is it Sadat is the last name?
Yeah.
That one of those 3 guys might have noticed something like, hey, coach, I think they might have known what you were doing here.
That's what they were brought here for.
Yes.
To notice things as analysts, that's exactly what they were brought here for.
And if you're a fan, here's where we get to that good news, Zay. If you're a fan, then maybe they're doing what Rod Babers has been screaming at them to do for years. Self-scout. Think about how you'd beat you. Go multiple levels into it. He ripped on Tom Herman for not doing it enough. He's ripped on Sark for not doing it enough. And maybe this is Sark saying, hey, I'm going to go multi-level here, and I'm going to diagnose the issues, and we'll start messing with it here in summer so we're ready in Tuscaloosa.
To know that it's Bama and TCU, that stings a lot, because, again, you were right there from Bryce Young, almost safety, to almost sacking him, Ryan Watts, to the TCU game where Kendre Miller, if he didn't have that long-ass run and a couple of mishaps with Anthony Cook as a safety and just bad communication with the corner, like, what would have happened.
Yeah.
And the fact that you couldn't move the ball really, especially in that TCU game, knowing what we know now, it can't happen. It can't happen.
It's tough. Now, it's also fair to say that if the officials could have figured out that play in the end zone with Bryce Young, or if Watts just makes a tackle, it doesn't matter.
You're right.
Right? That's true, too. But it's all close. And let's go back to that stat that I keep telling everybody about. 4-10 in one-score games at Texas. This addresses that problem. This is getting you to that problem. This is Sark saying, well, wait a minute. In games that are that close, why are we coming up short? Why is it not working for us in the second half? And maybe there's a third party, or he's seeing it too, saying, wait a minute. It's because they might have known, or part of it, not all of it, but a big part of it might be, wait, they kind of knew what was coming. They knew our rhythm. We got to figure out how to change that.
Well, think about this too, which I completely agree with you. Kelvin Banks was also a freshman, and he had one of the best seasons that we've seen from that blindside tackle. And think about all of the big-time edge rushing first-round picks that he dominated this year, but there has to be reasons why, and you have to give him some help as a freshman and make life easier for him. So think about just, even though he was so good, were they dumbing down terminology, just different type of play calling week to week, not changing much because you have so much youth on the offense. Even though they're talented, you could obviously tell in practice, hey, they won't be able to pick up stuff from week to week. It will overwhelm them, and it will become an even bigger problem. Maybe we could just out-talent guys, and hopefully that'll be the case. Nobody could pick up on stuff, and clearly it wasn't.
Yeah, really interesting stuff there. So if you're a Longhorn fan and you want to check it out, horn247.com. We are 86 days away from that first game. So the Longhorns may be trying to address some of those inner issues and some of that self-scouting stuff in the summer. So we definitely want to make sure to get that story out there. Real quick, Zay, before a break, CP3 released by Phoenix. You got a spot where you think this ends for him? Is it time to retire, or do you think he has a little bit left?
It depends on what he's willing to take. I mean, kind of like the Nuke Hopkins situation, you got to understand where you are in your career and what your value is. And if you want to keep ring chasing, which definitely CP3 should be at age 38, you might have to take a backup point guard role. One of the first teams that come to mind that could use a backup point guard like Chris Paul, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Drew Holiday, he doesn't have many years left. He's already said in a couple of years when his contract's up, he'll probably retire. I know his wife, she's had cancer at one point in time.
Oh, God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was a former soccer player. I think she won the World Cup when USA did a couple of years ago.
Okay.
But I know he wants to spend time with his family, and we saw this past year, they need something else, or this season, they need something else. Even though Giannis got hurt in that first round, which I think if he was healthy, it would have been a completely different series against the Miami Heat. Chris Middleton, he just doesn't have that same giddy up that he once did before all the knee injuries. So I think Milwaukee, that sounds like a good fit. And I don't know if you've seen recently Damian Lillard and some podcast that he was on. He just flat out said when he was asked, hey, if you were traded, where would you like to go? Homeboy just said, well, Miami, obviously. I was like, damn, Dame, this is a change.
Okay.
This is different. Usually Dame's the loyal guy.
Ready to roll, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's ready to roll, but if I'm the GM for Portland, I don't like that too much.
No.
Because, and Dame understands, like, Scoot Henderson was just practicing there, had his little workout at the Blazers facility, and Scoot Henderson is a point guard that could be very special. So I've always suggested Portland should get rid of Dame for his sake and theirs and build around Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe, the two guards that they could possibly bring on, which are very electric and high-flying and dynamic, and start new. But yeah, it's very odd to hear somebody like Dame Lillard, who he doesn't talk much, but when he does, it's usually important, and this was. So for him to throw himself out to Miami, I don't think Chris Paul Miami would fit well, but Chris Paul to Milwaukee, Look for that.
Keep an eye on that story. Plus, coming up in the NFL, another big name is available. It's Dalvin Cook, and somebody's already asked Mike McCarthy about it. We'll tell you what he said coming up, plus a really cool story about NFL rookies and some NFL legends. Stay with us. It is Thursday, and yes, that Texas football story. We'll get plenty of discussion today. If you have thoughts, Specs X line 337-3776. This is The Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk Apple Leasing. I love my car from Apple Leasing. In fact, got a payment coming up this week. But what I don't have coming up is a massive cost for some, repair that has to be done at the very end of everything, trying to just keep the car running. Yeah, I've been through a couple of those situations, and I was tired of that. Plus, I was tired of the dealer hassle. So I called up Apple Leasing, and I said, hey, I heard about you guys. Tell me what you do. Tell me what you're all about. Beth was really good at explaining the history of Apple Leasing. They've been doing this all the way back to the mid-'80s, getting people great deals on great cars, trucks, SUVs, whatever you're looking for, any make, any model, any car, any truck. They get you the same discounts and incentives that the dealers do, but they save you so much time and hassle and worry. And now, during this time of year, a lot of time at a hot dealership where it's 95 degrees out there. Avoid all of that. Call 346-9977 and start talking to them about what you're looking for. They'll even deliver that car or truck right to your driveway, just like they did for me. 346-9977 or go to appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, man, this one takes me back, way back to the early days of MTV. Rock the Casbah by The Clash. I've seen this video about 1,000 times. I mean, it was on all the time at the beginning. It's a pretty good tune.
Yeah?
Into The Clash at all? Heard any Clash stuff?
No, this is it.
This is the one. Yeah, this is their certainly the biggest during that MTV era, and there's obviously other stuff before that, the London Calling record and Should I Stay or Should I Go? A lot of great stuff from The Clash back in the day. They get us started today musically. Later on, speaking of music, I'll tell you what I thought of Ludacris's Word of Mouth. Zay, somebody sent us a text. It's actually female listener number 1. Says, I got some word of mouth this weekend when I saw Luda and Janet at the Mood.
Wow.
I didn't realize Ludacris opened that show. I'd heard Janet was in town. I'm like, wait, were they together in town?
That's an interesting mix.
That is wild. So I got a picture from somebody here at the office. One of our guys went to that Janet Jackson show and saw Rodney Terry.
Okay, Coach T.
He took a picture with RT and sent to me. He goes, hey, look who I saw at the Janet Jackson show. I was like, that's awesome, man. Rodney Terry's going to go see Janet. And then I find maybe Luda was opening that show.
Yo, Janet, I know she got a song called Nasty. She still get nasty on stage. There's like a video going around where she's going Zion Williamson and putting her tongue down the dude's throat and stuff. Yeah,
okay.
She's still getting risky with it.
They call that choreography when it's on stage. You know that, right? They call that choreography.
Shout out to Zion. We ain't forgot about you, dog. You got trapped. Tyler Hero, you're good now. Zion, you're the example.
Hey, quick update there, Zay. I got this like official looking email, and it references a story where some company called Cam Soda, an adult webcam site, has extended a $500,000 offer to Mariah Mills to serve as their in-house play-by-play announcer for Pelican games next season.
That's so petty.
Dude, how sick are you if you watch an adult site to hear her comment on Pelicans games? That's sick.
Yeah, you're in a dark place. I mean, ironically enough, she won't be really analyzing his games because he don't play.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to be tough. You'll be talking a lot of Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. That's it. But Zion, nah, he don't play. I can't believe he got called up like this.
That is
Coach
crazy.
K's probably so disappointed.
So like when they had the commercial with Boban where they're joking around like he's trying to be an announcer and he does. He bounce it, he bounce it, he bounce it. All she's going to be saying is still on the bench, still on the bench. He's still on the bench. He's still on the bench. All right, NBA stuff out there. Obviously, Denver winning Game 3. CP3 has been released, and where could he end up? There's a lot of things to pay attention to there. Somebody did, female listener number 1, Ludacris is doing the full tour with Janet. She did lots of stuff that felt lap dance-ish, but she worked it.
Yeah. Oh, he still got it.
That sounds like a good thing.
He still got it.
Sounds like a good thing, female listener number 1. We are glad you're out there listening, and I hope you had a great time at that show. That's a great double bill there. All right, so we also have some NFL stuff to get into here. Number 1 is Dalvin Cook has been released. The Vikings have informed him he will be released. Zay, as a Cowboys fan, I was interested a week ago, I was interested yesterday, and I'm interested today. Unfortunately, if you're like me and you're a Cowboys fan, David Moore tweeted out earlier the quote from Mike McCarthy. I have great respect for his game, but I don't really have any comment on anyone outside of our roster. McCarthy when asked to describe their level of interest in Dalvin Cook. And at that point, it was soon to be free agent. Did he really say that, though? I can't make a comment on anyone outside of our roster? Huh? So, like, if an NFL legend dies and they ask you about that, I'm sorry, he's not on our roster. I can't.
Oh, come on.
What are we talking about, Coach?
I get it, Big Mike. Look, we know what he said about the run game this year. They're going to put a lot of emphasis on it.
Okay.
So you want to respect the running backs in the room. From Tony Pollard, Malik Davis, even Deuce Vaughn, and Ronald Jones.
And Ronald
Those
Jones.
guys, too. I guess you're going to make it work with that 4, and we're going to see what happens. But I'm not a Cowboys fan, and I feel your pain, Chad. I would want a guy for the last 4 years that went over 11,000 yards, and a couple of those years, 15,000 yards. But he is a little injury prone. He's 27, so he's taking a lot of hits at this point. They used him a lot down up there in Minnesota. So I don't know. I just heard Mike McDaniel say something about him with the Dolphins.
Oh, good Lord.
Of course.
Yes,
He's greedy.
There's talk that he also wants that being a Florida guy.
He is a Florida guy.
Dalvin's a Florida kid. Remember, he was at Florida State, but that's his neck of the woods. Like, that would be going home for him.
Yeah, that'd be scary.
Last 4 years, 14 games as far as games started, 14, 14, 13, and 17. 4.7 yard average for his career. Over 1,100 all 4 years and almost 1,600 in 2020.
So he hasn't missed that many games as I thought.
No, to me, feels pretty durable. He is at that 27 magic number for running backs where they say it starts to go downhill. What I would ask you today is, it's 3rd and 2, biggest moment of the game, and you've got to run. Do you hand it to one of the 4 guys you've already mentioned, or would you rather hand it to Dalvin Cook?
Oh, Dalvin Cook, no question.
Me too. So if you were looking up the neighborhood he's in, he was going to get paid, what, about 11 mil?
Yeah, about 1 mil, 12 mil.
Okay.
The Vikings are saving 9 mil.
Cowboys, you got to go looking into something like this. You have shown us that you will go free agency. You'll do it. Here you go. You said you're going to run the damn ball, and he is Dalvin Cook. You want to help out Micah Parsons to make this defense feel a little bit more like the Ravens from back in the day? Give him a running back that kind of reminds somebody, that might sort of remind somebody of Jamal Lewis at times, because those other 4 guys don't. I like them all. Not one of them have I watched and thought, you know who that guy looks like right now? That's Jamal Lewis, baby. That's not what I've thought. But at least Dalvin is a little bit closer to that. I would love for the Cowboys to take a look at this thing. Dalvin Cook available. Miami's probably the first one to think of, though, too, because he may want to go home.
I mean, they did get your guy Devin Achane, but he's just a rookie, so who knows? They got Raheem Mostert, and after that, it's a pretty dry up there in South Beach. So it makes a lot of sense for Dalvin Cook to go play with Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and at the end of the day, we all know it depends on Tua's health. As good as that defense is now, adding Jalen Ramsey on the other side of Howard, we know it depends on Tua's health, but, man, it will help Tua a lot more if you hand it off to a guy like Dalvin Cook. For sure.
It's a great point. I hadn't even thought of it. You're right. Miami's kind of in the same spot. You mentioned the running backs they have with Achane and Mostert or whatever. To me, they've got some badass salad forks and dessert forks. They need a fork. They need a regular fork, and that's Dalvin Cook. That's what they need. Mostert, kind of. Jeff Wilson. I love me some Devon Achane. Achane feels like a specialist to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's an every down type of guy right now. He can do some things for you. I don't know if he can do all those things. Myles Gaskin, I'm seeing here, is listed 4th string. Cat out of Washington. Not exactly a workhorse kind of guy. We'll see where Dalvin Cook ends up. I admit I'm from the era where running backs mattered more than they do now. I think they're more special than NFL teams do nowadays. But I think there's still a place for Dalvin Cook in this league. I think there's still another year or two where he's a badass.
Well, don't forget, it was just a point of time where we were talking about the Dallas Cowboys drafting Bijan Robinson if he fell to him. So the running back, like Ronald Jones, they don't push the needle for no damn body. And yeah, Tony Pollard, I love what he could do, but he's still coming off that pretty gruesome leg injury. Yeah. And even though I just heard him in the presser say that he's way ahead of schedule when it comes to rehab and whatnot and being available during the season, which is great for Cowboys fans, he's not a bell cow.
Right.
He just isn't. And with that injury, it makes me even more worried about his longevity coming into this season, especially with the way Mike McCarthy's talking, which I still think it's kind of like, you know, let's see
he's still trying to get after Dak.
And I also think Micah Parsons is too low-key with the statement he made about the 2000 Ravens team. And whether people think, whatever you think of Trent Dilfer or not, I think Micah Parsons is letting know, because if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm taking offense to that.
You think he's saying to Dak Prescott, dude, I just said all you have to do is be Trent Dilfer. Did you pay attention? Did you hear what I just said?
That must hurt. That must hurt a little bit. If you're Dak Prescott, I know he's very confident in himself. Why wouldn't you be offended by that?
That's got to sting a little bit. You're right. You're right. If Mike McCarthy had said, we're going to make this offense work around Dak Prescott and we're going to get up and down the field, then I wouldn't be on him to check out Dalvin Cook. But saying what he said about the running game, I would take a look. Dalvin Cook out there today, so keep an eye on that.
Also, Chad, what Dak just said in the presser, he said this new offense is a lot of what our old offense was with a mix of the West Coast offense.
Mm-hmm. They're calling it the Texas Coast. Offense.
Yeah. Shout out to Bill Walsh.
We'll see. We shall see. The other NFL story I wanted to throw out today, Zay saw this as well. I retweeted it earlier at C Hastings 1049. Adam Schefter is where I saw this on a tweet. They did, they being Fanatics, the apparel company. They did a cool little video documentary, little short. It's about 3-4 minutes long, but it's some of the biggest names that were drafted sitting down, and they play videos from the one NFL player that they told them is their biggest idol. Why did you start playing? Because of that guy. What film did you watch the most? That guy. So they sit them all down, from Bryce Young to Bijan to Deuce Vaughn, all kinds of different guys. And then they just start playing this video from that guy. Tom Brady, Barry Sanders, Ray Lewis, popped to my Jerry Rice was one.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, George Kittle.
Dude, when Aaron Rodgers said to Bryce Young, how's my locker?
He said whoever got drafted there.
Is it Levis that ended up there? No, not Levis.
Somebody, I don't know.
Yeah. Somebody that ended up in Green Bay said, hey, how's my locker? That was funny. But it's a great video. Go check it out. Towards the end of it, they tell everybody to look under their seat. They kind of do it like an Oprah episode. Look under your chair, and they give them each a signed. Sean Clifford, yeah. They eat the Penn State guy, yeah. So they give them each a signed jersey by that guy and say they all turn into children. It's so great. You have got to go see it, including when Deuce Vaughn is staring at that Barry Sanders jersey.
That's when I almost teared up.
He looks like he's about to. It's good stuff.
Yeah, a couple of guys did tear up. I don't know who it was that got the love from Adrian Peterson, but he teared up when Adrian Peterson gave him that advice. And yeah, it's an amazing video. And shout out to all the legends that were involved, because that type of motivation for a young guy, that could change their whole outlook on the NFL. Maybe some guys, you come to the NFL and not everybody loves football. You always hear that. Like these guys in professional sports, which is bananas to me to know this, but it is a thing. Like some guys love what football brings them, or what the sport that they play professionally brings them, instead of loving the game itself. And things like that could change your whole perspective on the rest of your career and how you go about things, because you're like, oh man, times are tough. I remember Barry Sanders has my back. Barry Sanders showed me love. He believes I can't let him down. I can't let down Jerry Rice, Ray Lewis. Yep. Ray Lewis thinks I'm a good player. What?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like things like that. Like I was just talking about Craig Way and Bob Cole and Eric Reigns hitting us up yesterday. Like I feel the same way. Like that boosts my confidence. Like I'm just thinking about what they feel. You know what I'm saying? Just things like that. It's very special, and bravo to all those guys that were a part of it.
And my favorite little detail they were able to create was Tom Brady was Will Levis's guy, and Tom Brady was saying to Will Levis about he's like, I sat there a long time. I know what it's like to sit there and not get drafted. And you could see it on Levis's face, like, oh, God, that's Tom Brady talking about that.
Yeah.
Because we all know Tom Brady's 199, sixth-round guy. Tom's like, hey, maybe they didn't throw that camera in my face like they did yours, but I've sat there for a while, too. You can't make that define you, and he gives in a little pep talk. It was cool.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned Tom Brady, because he had one for Levis and Bryce Young. Both of those guys looked up to him, and Tom was giving them game.
Yeah.
Go back and watch that. Look at Tom's eyes. He looks blazed like Snoop Dogg and Willie Nelson on vacation. he looks high out of his mother-loving mind.
Like Snoop hanging with Andy Samberg on the beach.
Yo, I was like, Thomas, retirement's treating you good. I know that Vegas weed is legal, but damn.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny.
He looked very relaxed. He looked like he was enjoying life. Like Giselle thing be bothering him. Life is good. He just got, ownership in the Raiders. Life is good. I'm going to twist me some tree and light up this Philly.
That is funny. If you want to go check that video out, it's called The Locker Room if you want to do a search that way. Coming up at 105, Texas football fans will dig further into this story. The idea that Texas is changing the way they send in their signals because they feel like some opponents last year knew what the signals meant. We'll get into all of that. Up next in the crap bag, what I had wrong about Ross Bjork and the House Divided, plus a massive name that might be coming to town soon. This is The Horn. This is Chad. Let's talk sinus and snoring specialist. Dr. Slaughter and his crew doing great work over there at Sinus and Snoring Specialist. We're getting into summertime. Hopefully you came through the springtime good in terms of allergies and stuff, but now we're to that time of year. Going to get super hot, mosquitoes out there and all that kind of stuff, but your allergies may be bothering you as things continue to bloom, the grass and the molds and stuff. That's another great thing Sinus and Snoring Specialist can do. They know the molds and grass and different things that can really bug a lot of different people. Some things may bug you just with your nose and not show up on a test, show up on like an allergy test that they would do. That was the case with me, but they're able to put those things in the drops. Things like live oak, or Bermuda, ragweed. For me, pine was a big one because I've always been allergic to real Christmas trees. They were able to take that information and put it in the drops to help me get rid of my allergies for good, which they did for me from about 2017 to 2020. It takes about a 3-year period. Your body develops those defenses, and then you are good. You can live in the Austin area without allergies. I haven't done the sprays and pills in a long, long time, and as of about 2020 or so, I didn't even need those allergy drops because they had done their job. The initial exam took less than an hour for me. They work with most insurance, and again, that allergy test, it is done without needles, so don't worry about that. Call and set up your appointment, 512-601-0303, or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Feel clear, rested, and healthy.
Chad and Zay.
I do not recognize that voice. It sounds kind of Richard Marx-ish, but I don't think it's him.
He has a great afro, or had a great afro. I don't know what he looks like now.
Richard Marx had great hair, but it wasn't quite an afro.
The white fro.
Lou Graham?
There it is.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You helped me with the fro line because Lou did have one of the great white guy fros back in the day. Oh, there we go. I just guess I didn't realize this was Lou Graham. He had a successful solo career in addition to the Foreigner stuff. Lou Graham and The Clash getting us started today. By the way, speaking of music, massive news going on in the world of music. In case you have not heard, we get the pleasure of announcing to you today that Nickelback is going on the Get Rollin' Tour with special guests Brantley Gilbert and Josh Ross, Saturday, September 23rd at the Moody Center. Now, look, that's right in the middle of football season. Obviously, we are all very busy. And they offered me up the tickets, and obviously any other time of year, I would be there in 2 seconds.
Would you now?
But instead, I've decided the people need to experience live music in September. So go to hornfm.com, go to the events page, and get yourself signed up to win them before you can buy them. They don't go on sale until the 13th, which is Tuesday at 10 a.m. Go to hornfm.com. We got your chance at Nickelback tickets.
Oh, I'm with it. Sounds like a great show to me. Y'all tripping.
Well, I'm just letting you know.
I know a lot
It's
of them
out there.
Nickelback haters out there. That's BS. Those guys, they can rock a show still to this day.
It's just crazy. By the way, this is a crazy thought. Niner fan texting saying, I'd like to see Dalvin in San Francisco in case McCaffrey gets hurt. No.
Good grief,
No.
y'all.
No. That cannot happen. And for you Philly fans about to send a text, don't. Please don't. Don't need Dalvin Cook to go on to one of those teams. Please.
Yeah, that's mad greedy. That's
Oh, my God. I'd rather see that as a Dallas Cowboy thing. Maybe that's greedy of me as well. I get it. All right. Speaking of football, we'll talk some Texas football coming up. This story from horns247.com, part of their info from summer workouts, stating that Texas is changing the way they send signals in. They think the opponents might have been figured them out last year. We'll get into that story. Right now, a little bit more on House Divided with the crap bag, plus a massive name maybe headed to town.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
All right, it's brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. So I had one thing wrong, and then I think a lot of other people had something wrong yesterday. Let's clarify. I had not been able, until last night really, to find a direct quote from Ross Bjork saying the game will be played in College Station. I just kept reading these things where I'm like, well, he's saying he'd like it to be. He's saying they've expressed that to the SEC, but I haven't really heard him say, but it is out there. He said to the Houston Chronicle at one point along the way, quote, and it will be played at Kyle Field. He stated it clearly.
So you said at one point in time we don't know the exact date he said this?
Yeah, he said, I think this is going back to, I think it's February of this year.
Oh, wow.
I think it goes back to, or excuse me, maybe it was February of
2022?
2022, yeah. So in the last year or so is when this is. And he's not backed off of it. And at one point, Kirk Bowles tweeted out that he reiterated that it would be at Kyle Field. I haven't heard anybody follow up and say, has the conference told you this? And had that answer. They asked Greg Sankey directly, and he said, you'll find out on the 14th. That's all he would say. So when Billy Lucci yesterday when he's on Feinbaum and he says Ross Bjork has drawn a line in the sand, he believes it'll be in College Station, that is true. I think what got weird yesterday, look, I understand a lot of you Longhorn fans love to make fun of Billy Lucci and Texags. I've known Billy a long, long time. I feel like I'm perfectly balanced in this discussion because I can talk to Billy Lucci and Jeff Ketchum, and I think they'll both talk to me. So those seem to be two guys everybody just loves to hate for a bunch of weird reasons. But in the case of Billy, go back and listen to what he said. He said that Bjork drew a line in the sand and that he thought the game would be. But then the headline was that Billy said it was a lock. No, he didn't. Billy Lucci, and credit to you, Zay, you told me to listen to you. Go listen to that. I don't think Lucci says it that clearly. Lucci did not say it's a lock. Lucci said Bjork must have been told it's going to happen because he says it. He is saying it's going to be in College Station. And then Feinbaum, everybody's talking about, well, Feinbaum really called Lucci out. No, he didn't. He asked it to clarify. And he's like, hey, why do Aggies feel that way? And he said, is it because they didn't think this was going to happen? And
entitlement.
They kind of feel like it's a favor. Maybe not entitlement, but, well, that they are entitled to a favor.
Yeah, entitled to a favor,
because of what happened to them.
Like, we got screwed over. We thought coming to the SEC, it was just going to be us, the only Texas team in the Southeastern Conference. Y'all lied to us.
Yeah, to a lot of Aggies, that mattered. And then the idea would be that you go ahead and start it in College Station to kind of give them a little something on the front end here, of it. So that, I think, just, again, I'm not saying Billy won't do something that you can make fun of. I've made fun of Billy over the years. I'll tell you when I think he's wrong, but I don't think he directly predicted that. But Bjork is. Let's be clear. The AD at A&M is saying that game's going to be played at College Station. And all Chris Del Conte will say is, I don't know, that's kind of internet stuff. I haven't heard anything for sure. So he's kind of keeping it cool. We will see. For the record, if I'm the SEC, I would start in College Station. I'd start where you finished, and because of the way things happened with A&M and the weird communication that was done, I would start there. Also, Zay, because there's not a lot coming from the Longhorn side that really cares either way. There's really not.
Yeah, I just want the game to happen.
This is an opportunity, and the best part for everybody is both sides want it. Listen to the rhetoric that's out there. We want to play them every year. We want 9 conference games because it gets us more rotation. It gets us better matchups. It gets us more SEC matchups. They're all checking boxes for that. Del Conte and Bjork are saying all the right stuff for all of that. I agree with them. And the 9 conference games is the much easier way to get this game every year. Otherwise, you're going to have to sort of fix the schedule. If you go 8 conference games to get it to happen every year, it would have to go into a rotation, or you'd have to, again, kind of fudge the numbers a little bit. So they all want it. It's a matter of where. I'll be honest, I truly don't care. I can make an argument for each. Again, for the sake of sort of what has happened, I might lean College Station. I could make the argument for Austin. We find out next Wednesday night. I am so excited to find out officially that's back and find out where, so we can all start thinking about it.
Yeah, as long as the game's back, I don't give a damn. At the end of the day, if y'all feel entitled that y'all have to have that Kyle Field, we'll beat y'all's ass there. That's how I feel about it.
Well, and
it'll be even more beautiful to know how y'all wanted it there and for us to roll up and get the dub. I mean, that'd be so sweet.
That was another angle I thought of today. The home team is going to have a ton of pressure in that first game.
Yeah.
Whichever way it goes, that home team will have the pressure of, okay, really? New member of the SEC? Let's see it, Texas. We're going to throw our logo on the field. Let's see if you can measure up. Or it's, hey, you've been here for a decade plus now. You're an SEC team. They're not. They've been an SEC team for 10 minutes. Can you handle it?
Yeah, and I also think
both ways. There's a lot of pressure on that.
Yeah, you're right. And I also think about it could work in the opposite favor for y'all, us going up there and our players not knowing the magnitude of this rivalry because it's been so long since this game has happened.
Yeah.
And not understanding how much heat they're going to get from Aggie fans. And some guys pressure rust pipes. Some guys love that stuff.
Yeah.
And we're literally about to talk about Sark and his play calling getting chopped up.
Right. That's true.
For, scouting purposes for the opposing team. So you think about going into Kyle Field, how rowdy it will be with all them folks going crazy, calling you out your name, calling your mama, your girlfriend out their name, just talking crazy to get you off your game. And why would Steve Sarkisian think about, oh man, I got to dumb it down for these guys as we're throwing them into an environment that they've never experienced before. I've never experienced before my first time coaching in it.
First off, I don't know what you mean about the atmosphere. It's always been very civil in College Station.
Yeah, y'all don't do weird stuff before the game or anything.
And secondly,
Friday nights.
Sark definitely needs to make sure he gets this play calling thing figured out by 24 because, Jimbo likes to wear those reading glasses. It helps him see even further. He can see even farther across the field. All right, so there's just an update there. I did have a little bit of that wrong, but I do think some people were misinterpreting the Lucci stuff yesterday. We'll see where all that goes next Wednesday night. And real quick, if you're a soccer freak, Lionel Messi could be coming to Q2. Now, that's if Miami comes to play, but he may be going to Inter Miami. That is the talk now. They haven't officially got the deal done, but apparently he's picking MLS over international options. So there could be a day somewhere in the future where Messi and that Miami team come to town to play Austin FC.
That's so wild.
Dude, if you're a soccer freak, you have got to make sure you're there for that.
Yeah, I feel Messi, man. Like, he still has a lot in the tank, and a lot of those guys love being in America and getting that love. So why not? When you're getting up there in age, go the David Beckham route. And he's definitely going to get the love. He's one of the most popular athletes ever.
Especially when you get to do it in those cities. Beckham did it in L.A. He'll do it in Miami.
Genius.
Not bad. All right, coming up, 1 o'clock hour, Longhorn fans, they are changing the signals because apparently Nick and Dykes and others knew what the signals meant. We'll talk about it on the Horn. All right, let's go hour number 2 on a Thursday. It's Chad and Zay. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. The Denver Nuggets are up 2-1 now in the NBA Finals. Plus, we're talking about players released in a couple of big sports. CP3 released in the NBA, and Dalvin Cook is available in the NFL. Mike McCarthy wouldn't talk much about him today. The Dolphins will probably be in that conversation, and we'll see who else wants to talk Dalvin Cook. Somebody just texted us, by the way, Specs text line 337-3776, that Lionel Messi reportedly turned down $1.5 billion from the Saudis to play for one of their teams.
Wow.
Now, Zay, that is taking control of your life. The man's obviously made tons of money, but wow. That's saying no to a lot of money to be able to control things on your side of it. But he thinks going to Miami is the best way for him to just kind of keep control. So good for him.
Yeah, good for him. His morals, that's obviously a big thing for him. And yeah, as much money as he's made, that'd be very tough for a lot of guys to turn down. So,
yeah, that is crazy.
Doesn't even sound like real.
It doesn't.
No,
he's a beast. He is a beast. We know that, and he looks to be headed to that Miami team. Maybe he comes to Q2 very soon. We will have to check that one out. All right, so lots of football stuff out there today. We were just talking a little bit about the House divided. Next Wednesday, we find out that primetime SEC event. Where will they have Longhorns and Aggies get back together in 24? And if so, where? We have had people texting us throughout the last few days. This one says, I doubt they schedule Texas and Texas A&M in 2024. It's Zay, this is the SEC, and I am not putting anything past them. I need to see it to believe it. It's one of those where my example would be Roy Williams in the college basketball coach Roy Williams. All those rumors when he was rumored to be leaving Kansas and headed to Carolina, I think it would have been at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I told myself I'm not believing it till I see him with that logo behind him. Because it just never felt like it was going to happen. Rumors, and then it wouldn't happen. Another rumor, and it didn't happen. And then finally they got it to happen. So with this one, I could see the SEC not scheduling the game, and I could see the SEC scheduling it and putting it in either place. And deep down, my gut says that if they just want to play logic, they'll just put the game in Austin. But so I really could see a lot of the possibilities. So I'm just going to have to wait till Wednesday night to see it play out. But I will be shocked, but not, I guess surprised, but not shocked, because the SEC occasionally likes to just bow up and let us all know that it's not them. It's not about us. It's not about the teams. And I would hope that, because if they do that, Zay, then it's not about an Aggie joke or a Longhorn joke. It's both. That's a house divided joke if they do that. If they say, we're not going to schedule a game in 24, we couldn't figure it out, we may do it in the future. That's a huge insult to both teams.
Yeah, it'd be a disgrace to college football if the SEC didn't figure out a way to have Texas play Texas A&M.
Yeah.
That would be a disgrace. And we're seeing literally with Live Golf and the PGA Tour, lots about money. So if you're the SEC, why wouldn't you want that paper come to you?
Of course.
With that game.
Yeah.
It doesn't make
yeah.
There's so much anticipation for it. That's one of the biggest reasons why it should happen, that we've been waiting so long. And both Jimbo and Sark, they're big-time names. The schools are obviously big-time names. I don't know who y'all's quarterback's going to be, but we got some pretty big-time name quarterbacks on our side.
Yes, you do.
That they want to put on TV. So It just made everything lines up for Texas to play Texas A&M in 2024. Again, if it doesn't happen, that's an absolute disgrace to college football, and the SEC should be ashamed.
Yeah, we will assume it will happen, because I think that would be such silliness. So right now, I think we're all thinking about it's where. It's not if. It's where. Where are you going to start it? Where does the 24 game happen? We'll continue to have that discussion and get ready for that next Wednesday night. Real quick question from a texter, Zay. If you were a Cowboys fan, would you rather have Hopkins or Cook?
Cook.
Me too.
Cook, because I feel good about Michael Gallup. I love Brandon Cooks. He has to stay healthy. And then CeeDee Lamb coming into another season of being comfortable with Dak. Yeah, I think they need more of a big-time running back than somebody like Nuke Hopkins.
Now, there is a little bit of greedy Cowboys fan in me, a little bit of Mike Hard Cowboys fan in me that says both. that's kind of Mike Hard just out there nodding right now.
I take both.
Yeah, both would be great, too. All right, so let's get into this Texas story some more. I heard Jeff Howe talking about it as I was rolling in. Horns247.com. Go check out their insider piece today. They got summer workout information, including the fact that they're changing their signals. They're going to change the way they send signals in. We haven't heard details of it in terms of like, wait a minute, is this just you're changing cards out? You're going from cards to wristbands? You're changing the way the wristbands work? We don't know those specifics, but the thought here, Zay, is that there were games last year where now they've been able to go back and look and thought they've seen something that lets them know that the opponent might have been on to them.
Yeah, I never understood. There's that like old just baseball feel that stealing signs is like illegal and frowned upon. I just thought it was great scouting. And
sure, as long as you do it with just your eyes, sure.
Yeah, exactly. I ain't talking about Houston Astros stuff or Bill Belichick, dirty stuff with the camera. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about if they are dumb enough to not adjust their plays from week in to week out, and we're breaking down film. That's literally coaches' jobs.
Yeah,
that's how you stay employed with whatever university that you're with, is to have an advantage over that team. And if you have a disadvantage in talent, which you're playing against the University of Texas, a lot of teams do, how do I get an advantage in any way? And if Sark is out here being just reckless and not understanding that people are watching him and taking what he's doing from week to week because he ain't changing it, that's a problem. And I can't knock TCU or Bama, the teams that were brought up in this whole thing, for doing that. Like Sark, you gotta change things up. And just a little bit of me understands it. Because like I said earlier in the show today, when you have freshmen like Quinn Ewers and Kelvin Banks, as highly touted as they are coming in, as good 5 stars, big-time players, the college game for a freshman, it's so much faster. And what Sark believed in, he's felt like, okay, in order for these guys to be successful, maybe we have to dumb down our terminology and how we go about things from week to week, just so these guys can have success and we're not overwhelming them with a whole bunch of different plays and a whole bunch of different changes.
Yeah, but what he's learning here, this may be just another lesson that Nick Saban, the Bama game apparently is mentioned in these notes as well as TCU, just maybe one of those latest things that Nick Saban is helping teach him. This version of college football, somebody texted us earlier, 2 words that make changing your signals often important. Transfer portal. So many guys moving around, so many guys going from place to place. And, Nick Saban knows that when he faced Texas and Keelan Robinson's on the other side, Keelan Robinson's on the other side. He knows your stuff. You can't do the same stuff you were doing during those games. So, yeah, you bring up a good point with the younger players. Now this is just the evolution, hopefully, of Sark. And like we talked about it earlier, if you're a Texas fan, if you're finding the silver lining here, this is self-scouting. This is, we were giving something up. This is not them seeing it, but you seeing it. Hey, the right tackle clicks his foot out every time we throw a pass. Look at this. I just charted 20 plays, 10 runs and 10 passes. He does the same thing on every run. He does the same thing on every pass.
Yep.
So if you can see it first, then you can adjust. And I'm glad you brought up baseball. Remember that story recently where Aaron Judge was peeking into the dugout?
Yes.
And they were trying to figure it out?
Yes.
There was no mystery there. The pitcher was tipping. And the guys were telling him something from the dugout. They noticed it. The pitcher later came back to the meeting and said, yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
I was giving something different. My slider and whatever it was, slider fastball or slider curveball. Something looked a little different. They figured it out. And Judge was trying to say, like, okay, which one is it? Which one? And he I think he took the guy deep like 3 pitches later.
That's what I'm saying. If the pitcher's out here scratching his ass on fastballs and then scratching his tummy on off-speed pitches, pick that up and use that to your advantage.
That's the game.
The game's too hard for not to do anything like that. Like, I don't make no sense to me. Sorry, come on. You got to do better. And it does grind my gears to know that the Bama game and the TCU game, games that you were right there just a couple of plays away, and it could have been the difference in you winning and losing, that this is now coming up.
Yeah. And again, back to the stat that I feel is critical. 4-10 in one-score games at Texas. So on average, you get into 7 of them a year and lose 5. So now let's watch that number. Does he get into less of them? And then obviously you want to have a winning record. He had the same problem Tom Herman had. You're in too many of them and you're losing too many of them. Mm-hmm. You got to fix both of those. This, to me, speaks to it. And also, I'd be a little more excited if I'm a Texas fan, Zay, just from the fact of this really tells you he's taken that Paul Chryst thing seriously. Deke Millis and the other guy as well, taking all that seriously about let's bring them in. Let's use them like he used Gary Patterson. Use their eyes, use their knowledge, use their football stuff. Heck, maybe Gary Patterson's part of the reason that this is going on. Maybe Gary walked in and been like, hey, man,
I was doing this to y'all for a long time.
Here's what I knew, and watch this. Here's what Sonny knows. I know these guys. I know this personnel, and I now know your personnel. Watch this. Sit somebody down and say, all right, did you see it? Go tell Sark that.
Yeah, and you want to get to a point where it doesn't matter. Like, I don't give a damn if you know what we're running or not.
Right.
We are going to overpower you because we're this talented and we're this deep and we're just better than you. And last year, they weren't that. And we saw just all the inconsistency with Sark's play calling and just the second half changes or lack thereof, because they would score a boatload of points, like 30 points in the first half, a lot. And in the second half, you'd be like 3 and 10. And he wouldn't be able to adjust to what the opposing coaches is doing to you in the second half, getting the Xavier Worthy thing, Quinn Ewers, just all the deep shots where, you know, Quinn should have taken what was given to him on underneath stuff, just all of that. And then this is added. Shad, I just watched a podcast with Robert Orr. He was on Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson's Up in Smoke podcast. And they asked him about what was it like playing against LeBron in his first finals, the 07 finals where Big Shot Bob was playing with the Spurs.
Right,
remember who their coach was for the Cavaliers? Mike Brown. Who was his coach at Shree? Greg Popovich.
Right.
Robert Horry just said, flat out, we knew everything they were running. They were running the same thing.
I heard this.
They were running the same things
they heard
that he ran when he was with us.
They could hear him yelling the plays, and they're like, wait, did he just say that?
Sweep. Like that.
Hey, I'll give you another great example. Super Bowl 37, Bucks over Raiders. That's what happened that day, too. John Lynch, Mike Tomlin, the DB's coach, Mike Tomlin told John Lynch, I don't think they're changing calls. I think these calls are the same thing that Coach Gruden was doing last year in Oakland. So let's watch that. And then during the game, you can see on the NFL films, John Lynch is screaming at Dexter Jackson after an interception. We told you. I told you, D-Jack. I told you. We told you, didn't we? We saw it. And then he goes over and he finds Mike Tomlin and says, Coach, they did exactly what you said. They did this. They did that. We got them.
And that's so arrogant of Gruden just to go into the Super Bowl thinking like that just because you have Hall of Famers and Tim Brown and Jerry Rice.
No. Arrogant of Bill Callahan. Remember, Gruden's a Buck by then.
That's right. That's right.
They realized that Bill Callahan had not changed any of Gruden's calls.
That's right.
He had Rich Gannon calling the same stuff, and Gruden's guys knew it.
Yeah, that's really bad.
That was massive in that Super Bowl, obviously. So, yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Somebody texted us, you Darvish with like a word. Exactly. And this text comes in, Zay, my Little League coach had dummy signals. Come on, Sark. I mean, you know, it's one of those things. We'll see how Sark owns this story. This will be a story Sark didn't put out there. This isn't like the Xavier Worthy thing where he didn't have to tell us about the hand, but did. Will he acknowledge this report? Will he talk about this report at any point? Will he talk about their process? Or will he just try to cover up and just say, look, all kinds of stuff's going on, but we won't get into the specifics? Like, how will he deal with this?
Mix it up, Sark. When I look on that sideline during the season, 1 week I want to see a sign with like a Heinz ketchup bottle. The next week I want to see like a Lamborghini. The next week I want to see a picture of Zion Williamson with his baby mama. Like, mix it up. You got to mix it up in different ways. That's going to have teams thinking like, what the hell is this? It might mean the exact same thing. It might not.
And Zay, we keep bringing it up, but starting in 2024, what that conference Texas is going into? What's it called?
SEC.
Is that a SEC?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what. it does just mean more, including being sneaky. Just means more. More in-depth, more details, fan bases that are crazy. There's probably a group of crazy Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt fans, and Bama, and A&M, and Georgia, and all of them that sit around and watch film and might actually send information to their teams because it means that much to them.
Yeah.
You're about to head into that conference where little bitty things are going to matter. And I don't even think nowadays, Zay, I don't even think if everybody knew, I don't think Bama's ever good enough. This Georgia team to me is not good enough that if you knew everything they were running, you couldn't figure it out.
Right.
If they shouldn't be able to just scream out, run left. That's not that. Like I used to say the Cowboys, I used to say Troy Aikman could scream Emmett left and it wouldn't have mattered. But I don't think that's actually true.
Yeah.
You know, I do think it matters if people know whether or not Bama or Georgia, or in this case Texas, are running certain plays. So Texas fans, take the bad and the good there. I think there's, I don't know, what's that, an 80-20 bad to good story maybe?
Yeah, I like to think that it's the past and we're past it. We're over it.
Right.
You know, and thank goodness Paul Christ and Deacon Melez and, you know, all those guys are
Sadat
in.
realized
Sadat,
something.
they can lock in. That's what they're here for. So as long as it gets corrected, I'm good. And hopefully they don't have to worry about those things as much because Kelvin Banks and Quinn Ewers, all those guys, everybody else, 10 players on that starting offense coming back besides Bijan, and you could count Roschon Johnson too, are more acclimated and comfortable with the calls, so you could mix it up a little bit more.
Interesting stuff there. So now the guys that are coming in for fall will be getting into those new signals. The guys that came in early, as early enrollees, that group obviously would get a little even more of a head start on this the new signal system at Texas. So we'll keep looking for that story as we get closer to the season. 86 days away from Texas and Rice. Get to try out all that new signal stuff with Rice, and then hope you got it figured out when you head to T-Town in game number 2. Coming up next, your flex segment. We've already got a baseball a baseball state champion at the 1A level. We'll update those scores, plus a flex commit and some offers to talk about. Don't move. It's the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Right on the button. This would be Nickelback, correct? Oh, here it comes. Get ready. What's this song called?
How You Remind Me.
How You Remind Me. Nickelback, Lou Gramm, and The Clash have started us off today. Again, go to hornfm.com for your chance to win Nickelback tickets. They're coming to the Moody Center in September with Brantley Gilbert and Josh Ross opening it up. It is the Get Rollin' Tour. So I'm assuming that would be the first time at the Mood for Nickelback. Everybody's checking off the box of first time they play the Moody Center, Nickelback in September.
Yeah, this is going to sound different than it did at the Drum. This is at the Mood with that sound system.
True.
It's state of the art. Everybody's looking at the Mood as the example of how arenas should be built. Nickelback's going to rock that thing.
There
man.
you go.
Come on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I guarantee you're going to hear that song live. They will definitely play that one live. They got a lot of songs. They're one of those bands that as they go through the set, you'll have a lot of, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You will.
I came to see these guys, but I'm having, oh, yeah moments.
Well, no, yeah, that one. Yeah, that song. Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah. They are coming in September. By the way, speaking of music, later on, we'll talk album and movie swap. Zay has now seen Face Off. I have now heard Word of Mouth by Ludacris, and I did watch a couple of the videos. Watched a little bit of some of those videos. Those are good, too.
Oh, he was out of control.
He was absolutely crazy back then. We will get, and we learned today that Ludacris was just in town with Janet Jackson. That's coming up at 2:05. Also, I think we got it lined up for next week's movie and album. We'll get all that to you. Right now, let's talk about a state champion in the Flex segment.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit brainvault.com and join the movement.
All right, if I said smoke 'em if you got 'em, it might sound a little insensitive, but it is Willie's hometown after all. Congratulations to Abbott. They are the state champs in 1A baseball. They beat Fayetteville 6-5 today. Abbott is your first state champion in 2023. How about that?
Congratulations, Abbott.
Very cool, man.
Big time.
State champions. That's going to be a story those kids will be able to tell the rest of their lives.
Now, I don't want to sound ignorant here, even though I know I'm going to.
Uh-huh.
Since it's 1A, do they still play 9 players? Because we know how they do in football. It's
I would assume.
Okay,
yes.
just making sure. Just making sure.
I don't think there's such a thing. See, that tells me that what the UIL did is an even dumber idea because it creates questions like that. It's a logical question based on football because they've turned 6-man into 1A, which was dumb. They should have just left it 6-man.
There's not enough kids. That's the point of it being 1A. There's like 50 kids that go to the whole school.
Well, no, but we had a 1A. We had 1 through 5. What's wrong with that? Leave it alone.
Oh, you're talking about this again.
Yes, I am. Because it's confusing. It just created your question. If they didn't do that, you wouldn't have had to ask that. You would have known that 1A baseball is baseball. But they've confused you in football. Well, 1A football, I went to Cherry World and they had weird goalposts and they squeezed it in and they didn't let 11 guys out there.
It's pretty cool. It's like arena without the walls.
Yeah,
it's pretty dope.
I watched the 6-man game. It's cool.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and it doesn't need to be patronized.
Does Craig do the 6-man games?
Oh, yeah. If he can.
Legend.
If he can, absolutely. So congrats to Abbott, and so far it's congrats to Harleton over Shiner. It's 6-0. They are in the bottom of the third in that one. That's be your 2A championship. They got started at 12 out there at Dell Diamond. A little bit later on, it is the semis in the, let's see, that would be in 5A, right? Yes, the 5A semis are later on with Magnolia West and Frisco Reedy at 4, Argyle and Bernie Champion at 7, and then this evening at 6:30 over at the Dish is a 4A state champion that will be crowned. Liberty Ilu and China Spring getting after it today. That one is at, again, the Dish for 4A. Everybody else is at Dell Diamond. Also, some congrats going out to Flex athletes, Flex football players with commits and offers. Congrats to Cameron Dickey, the talented quarterback and kind of do-everything guy if they need him out of Crockett. He has committed to Tech.
Wow.
Congrats to you, young man.
Very impressive.
Yeah, we'll see how they use him at Texas Tech. Are they thinking quarterback? He can do a lot of things. 5'10", 195 is how I see him listed. He's class of 24. He and his brother do a ton at Crockett. His brother's a defensive player. He's offensive, and they put up numbers out there.
Yeah, they do, man. They're representing South Austin. South Side? South Side. Do we die?
That's right.
And yeah, even though it's Tech, that's huge for guys around this area. Big time Power 5 school, and yeah, good get for Dickey.
Yeah, it's very cool. A couple other Flex guys getting offers from smaller schools, but certainly some significant offers here. How about Thompson Vickery, one of our favorites that we saw with Dripping Springs last year? He's a senior this year, really talented, edge/rush linebacker/ what do you need him to do?
Yeah, he's like an Isaiah Simmons in a way. You remember when they put up the Isaiah Simmons stats, the linebacker or whatever he is for the Cardinals, and even though he kind of struggled because of everything he has to do from playing safety at times, nickel, linebacker, edge guy, I feel like it's the same way with him. So, yeah, I hope that's not why he's not getting these offers, because you and I talked during prep, like, this dude, he's a big-time player, and maybe they're just going to start rolling in all of a sudden, like, you know, out of nowhere, but just a few that he has, that's interesting to me because he could ball.
Yeah, I want to see where this offer list goes with him. He's class of 24, so this is the senior year. He's listed here at 6'5", 215. He's bigger than that, isn't he?
He looks bigger than that. He looks about 6'5", 225.
The two schools I see with an offer are, he already had Cornell, now he's got Colgate. So for the rest of y'all that might want to offer him, sounds like the classes are figured out.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Sounds like he's got the smarts figured out. Cornell and Colgate. Nothing against those offers. If he wants to end up at a badass Ivy League education and school and play football, that's cool. We'll just see. We'll see if anybody else is interested in Thompson Vickery. Another name to keep an eye on, Allie Scott, quarterback over at LBJ. He's still got 2 more years to go, class of 25. He just got an offer from Bethune-Cookman to go with Grambling State, to go with Campbell, to go with Northern Alabama, and UNLV. So Bethune-Cookman is his latest offer. Congrats to that young man as well. LBJ, interesting team to watch this year too.
Yeah, we know they have a coaching change with Jamal Fenner over at the 40 Acres helping out Sark and those guys. So let's see, because there's a lot of expectations over in East Austin every year. They just lost Cedric Alexander to Vanderbilt. He's going to be doing big things in the SEC, and that's one guy, kind of like what Texas is doing with Bijan Robinson, you won't be able to replace. I'm sorry for the backup, whoever that is. You'll probably have a really good season, but that dude broke records for AISD. So it's going to be hard to say, we're going to get right back to scoring all these points where he was getting like 8 touchdowns a game and 250 yards a pop. And like the quarterback, he's going to have a lot of responsibility, and let's see what he can do with it.
So next year, do you think it'll take Jamal Fenner a little bit of time to get used to kind of normal football games again? Like, is he going to lean over at someone in the first quarter of that Rice game and goes, hey, isn't it supposed to be 63-0 by now? What's the deal?
That will probably be a little different for
right?
him. Like, why aren't we scoring all the time?
Oh, man, I feel bad for that OC. Why? Oh, they're going to have to fire him. Why? Well, he's run 4 plays and we don't have 4 touchdowns. I mean, that's terrible, right? That's a horrible percentage.
They made it look easy last year.
Oh, my
LBJ crew.
They did, man. They went up and down the field. All right, there's your flex segment. Congrats to the state champs so far. Abbott getting it done, and another one looks like it's on the way with Harleton getting that one done.
See, I ain't going to let y'all clown me about my 1A baseball question. There's literally 6-man football for 1A.
That's not your fault. Again, it's the UIL's fault. It's not your fault.
I just watched like the FIBA 3-on-3 tournament. USA women just took gold. Haley Van Lith, She was the leading girl in like the 3-on-3 tournament where it's
Oh.
like hoop it up.
I bet she talks trash in 3-on-3.
She probably does.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, she was balling. And once you score, they take it out and they take it to the 3-point line and you check it up basically.
Nice.
That's not what it's like, but that's the feel that you get. So that's an Olympic game now. 3-on-3 basketball.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I'm crazy for not thinking that they might have mixed it up due to the lack of population at these schools by playing baseball.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
Again, that confusion they created in football, I think it's I understood why you asked the question, but I've never heard of – I don't even know if that would exist. I've never heard of, like, even a small school, like, going all the way to taking guys off of either way, either taking boys or girls off a softball field and lessening that number. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they would have to run up the score. It's probably they don't have JV and freshman teams. It's probably a lot of guys go straight to varsity because they just need guys to fill spots.
You're at like a small school. Hey, you play left, center, or right? Yep. That's me. What do you mean? I got to deal with all of it.
Oh, I saw the next Ken Griffey Jr. Does he play? Everything. Everything.
My man is outfield. No matter where they hit it, he's unreal. He starts in center, but he doesn't end there. All right, we'll keep a track of those baseball scores. Up next, where we at in society? Zay'll let us know. And then coming up at 2:05, the album movie swap, word of mouth from Ludacris and Face Off with Travolta and Cage. We'll see what Zay thought of that. I'll tell you what I thought of Luda. Don't move. It's The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Can we get a reunion of this group? Can we get them back out there? Come on, Gwen. You can do it. No doubt from, what's this, got to be the first album? Probably?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's second album?
Maybe a second.
But, man, all the way back. Just a Girl is what it's called, or?
Yeah.
I'm Just a Girl, yeah. No Doubt, Nickelback, Lou Gramm, and Clash. So good. So good. That was just
a jam.
Yeah, it was a type of band we hadn't quite seen yet. Not exactly the way No Doubt did it. Shout out to Gwen and the crew. Hope she is doing well today. Hope you are doing well today. 2 o'clock hour coming up. We'll hit an album and movie swap. When's the last time you watched Face Off? Oh, bring some Kleenex. It's going to get emotional. And when's the last time you listened to Word of Mouth from Ludacris? I had not heard the whole album, but as I listened to it, I realized, oh, wait, I know that one. Wait, I've heard that. Wait, I know that hook. Wait, I know that beat. Wait, I know that one. There's about 3 or 4, maybe even 5 of those on that album. We'll get into it coming up at 2:05. I think we've also got a movie and album figured out for next week as we swap back and forth on that. We'll tell you why today matters at 2:30. Got a couple of big birthdays today, including one of those musicians. It's kind of on the borderline. Do you still play the music or not?
Hey, chat.
Get to that.
Chad, listen to this. Shout out to somebody on the Specs text line for having my back.
Yes.
Hey, Zay, 1A baseball in Rhode Island is 3-on-3. A pitcher, a catcher, and one fielder running his ass off for 7 innings, trying to track everything down. It's hysterical to watch. You should check it out. Whoever had on me, kiss my fat, ashy ass. I told y'all.
Good question.
I'm telling you.
Good question.
You gotta bring it down for whatever you got.
It is a good question. What do they call that? 3-man baseball?
Yeah, 3-on-3.
3-on-3 baseball. That's tough. Oh my God.
Yeah, basically what you do in the sandlot with the homies.
Whew. Yeah, that's a lot of cardio.
You're gonna be well conditioned.
It's like a soccer player with how much you run. My God, that's crazy. All right, thank you, Texter, for helping Zay out on that. Specs text line is 337-3776. Let's see what Zay wants to hit today. Where are we at in society? Here we go.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, Zay. What do we got? Do I need to go to Twitter today or what?
Yeah, go to Twitter. One of your favorite players of all time is outside.
No.
Troy Aikman announces the end of his marriage with pics of his new girlfriend who's 34 years old. I see you, Troy.
Look out, 8.
Yo.
Dude, that beer is low-cal.
Those dudes' abs, he looks like he'd get right back under center. I'm telling you.
Oh, my goodness.
Yo, Troy looks like he has a little bit. He looks like he has a little bit left. But do you see the woman on his arm, though? Like, yeah, Troy ain't playing around. And this is a real petty way to go, to announce your divorce.
It really is.
With your previous woman with a new, younger thing.
No, wait a second. Okay, the picture in the middle, is that him and the ex-wife? Or is that her as well?
Yeah, I think that's the ex-wife.
The ex-wife's in the middle, and then these 2 pictures on the side. I just retweeted it. At C Hastings 1049, Zay is at ain't that _ Zay. So obviously the pictures with the brunette in the ponytail, that's the new girl, and then the ex-wife is the one in the smaller picture.
Yes.
As long as everybody knew what was up, I mean, this is the day and age. I wouldn't do it this way on social media, but I'm assuming the ex-wife knows she's the ex-wife. It's not like he broke the news this way. It's not like he is telling her, hey, I think it's time we move on with a social media post. I'm going to say 8 did it classier than that.
I don't know. He's been rocked in his head a few times. He could be going about this a foul way that he thinks is only right for him.
Yeah.
And who knows what happened in that divorce. They got divorced for a reason. Something went south. Something went sour. We don't know whose side it was on. We literally just had the divorce person come on with us, and we were talking about, you know, how guys could benefit from that with Father's Day coming up. So it could have been old girl, his previous wife, where Troy was like, you know what you did to me with my petty self and all this money that I'm making with Fox, I'm going to bring this young thing on the boat with me. She 34, body looks right, and I'm going to stick it to you because I'm Troy Aikman. You see the Super Bowl rings. I'm a legend. And again, from Troy's body, looks like boy still got it.
One of the things Troy always had at an elite level, looks like he still has, accuracy. Accuracy. Hit that NFL window when an NFL window needs to be hit.
Yeah,
Troy
man.
Aikman, ladies and gentlemen. I hope Troy is happy. I hope he and his ex-wife are both happy. I know they have kids. He has 2 daughters, I believe.
Okay.
Hopefully everybody is good with the situation. They are adults now, I believe. I think the girls are older, but hope everybody is, doing well, and hope this is all not a bunch of cattiness and weirdness. But, it looks like he's in serious shape. And Zay, I will say, I will be glad to I guess, loosen my starting quarterbacks in the NFL can't wear backwards hats when we get to this point and you are retired and you're with your hot new girlfriend on the boat near the water.
In Italy.
In Italy, if you want to throw the hat on backwards, go ahead, do whatever you do. There's no press conference going on. You're not working. Do what you need to do.
Yeah, he looked fly with the chain.
He really does.
Looks like this is the coolest I've seen Troy Aikman look in a hot minute since he was rocking that Cowboys blue. And, I'm the opposite of you, Chad. I hope it is petty. I hope his daughters are good. I hope that's correct. But
You hope this is like him flexing?
Oh, he's flexing. With his shirt off,
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing.
That's true.
He knows exactly what he's doing. You're coming from a petty brother himself. Troy knows exactly what he's doing, posting these photos right when a divorce hit. Like, people still thought that he was with his ex-wife. Like, this is the announcement that he's doing.
All right.
So it might not be as dark and corrupt as it could be, but it's still Troy a salty dude. And I salute him for it.
All right, here's my stupid OCD question. Who took that picture? Is this just like a bunch of friends on the boat?
Yeah, whoever's driving the boat, somebody got to.
That's not a selfie. A third party took that picture. All right, you do what you do, eh? Do whatever you need to do. Hopefully everything is cordial and nice. I don't need Troy Aikman having some controversial divorce.
Oh, no, Chad, I think I'm finding out who took the picture. It says, taken by Jimmy Johnson.
Jay Novacek. Michael Irvin. 88 still taking care of
no
8.
party with him. Troy knows.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a different type of party with Mike.
That's true. Go to dinner with Michael Irvin. Don't go on vacation with Michael Irvin. Don't do that.
Yeah, you
That's
might get drawn in some crazy stuff with some crazy people that you don't want to come across.
It's another level. Yeah. So for those of you that are beer connoisseurs and you were wondering if that new 8 beer from Troy is low cal or not, go check him out. If he's drinking that beer is not too heavy. The beer's doing all right.
How old is he? 56?
That's a decent enough guess, I think.
Yeah,
Somewhere in that.
Somewhere in there. That's impressive.
And 56. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to the person that texted us about HGH, how dare you? How dare you make such accusations?
Troy.
You have no proof of this. By the way, speaking of NFL quarterbacks, Bryce Young officially QB1 in Carolina.
What? Wow, what a shocker. It's crazy.
Zay, I hate to break this story today. I know it's going to shock every NFL fan. To this moment on June 8th, Andy Dalton has not made an impact in Carolina. Wow.
Yeah,
Shocker.
I mean, I'm glad they said already. I guess he's the first one. I haven't heard anything with the Texans on Stroud. Definitely haven't heard anything on the big-time quarterback battle in Tennessee with Malik Willis or
Yeah, Willis and
Tannehill, and Levis.
And Levis, yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson, everything is pointing up for him on being the starter, which,
But I haven't heard QB1 yet for him, right?
Yeah, but
Officially?
Yeah, I hope Sam give him Ruffers money, but Sam has been overlooked in his early NFL career.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, when you get picked that high, you expect those guys to start playing as quick as possible.
So that is official now in Carolina, and all the best to Troy Aikman in the next part of his life.
I see you, Troy. You living, baby.
How about that?
Livin.
How about that? All right, coming up, your 2 o'clock hour. We'll start it with the album, movie, swap, word of mouth, and face off. Talking mouths and faces on the horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, let's go hour number 3 on a Thursday. Chad and Zay, I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. Picks out a special beat for you to start every third hour. A lot of times he goes with beat that matches up with our album. Is this Ludacris?
That's right.
There we go.
Ludacris Moneymaker, produced by Pharrell. It's when Luda took a little bit of time off and cut the braids and went to the fade around 2007, 2008 and dropped this track. And it was big, like a lot of his other hits.
All right, so a good
Moneymaker.
Moneymaker, Ludacris beat to start the hour. We'll get into that Ludacris album and the face-off discussion coming up. Just quickly in the world of sports, obviously talking Denver winning Game 3. CP3 released by Phoenix. Where will he end up? Some think both LA teams could be targets. Zay also mentioned the Bucks as possibilities. How about Dalvin Cook? He's available in the NFL. And yes, Longhorn fans, there is a summer report out there that the Longhorn football team may be or is changing up the way they send signals in because they feel like some opponents were figuring them out last year. So we have been talking about that as well. All right.
Yeah.
So, did you just see something we need to hit before we get in here?
No.
All right. So, for this week, Zay, would you like to go album first or would you like to go movie first?
I feel like we got to go movie first.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear what you thought of the cinematic masterpiece, Face Off, June of 97. It was a summer blockbuster. They took them $80 million to make it. And they made $245, baby, back in 97. So what did you think of Face Off?
Wild. It was fun. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed every bit of it. I thought Travolta and Nicolas Cage were both great. I thought the cast was good. And the plot was really good. Like, I really thought it was very interesting that this dude, Nicolas Cage, is a terrorist. He's wilding out on the plane before it crashes.
Mm-hmm.
He's a terrorist. Obviously everything comes back to Zion at this point because Zion was spinning down the porn star's throat. Nicolas Cage was doing a lot of that stuff.
Nicolas Cage did a lot.
And then when it switched to Travolta and he became Cage and vice versa, and he did the tongue down, tongue with the daughter. That was a little eerie, but whatever. It was a good flick.
Yeah.
I mean, I got the slow motion. Definitely got that.
I told you that movie might be only an hour and 10 minutes if they didn't do slow motion. Like John Woo, I believe is the director's name, and he loves slow motion.
Yeah, the part when Nicolas Cage wakes up and he's Travolta at this point.
Yeah.
And he wakes up and he pulls the pistol out on old girl's baby mom that he knows baby mom because he's Travolta. And that big ass shootout happened in somebody's home. Like it was just, that's just somebody's home. Like the cops just completely shut it up.
So unnecessary.
It's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
A lot of people are dying, but the kid stays alive. I'm like, how did this little kid, like, I get they were protecting him, but.
Well, they put the headphones on him.
Yeah.
Noise canceling, protect the ears.
Right. Yeah. And like, the headphones was somewhere over the rainbow. That's playing during the shootout, and it's just like, wow.
Because of course it was.
That was a tough part. I'm not going to front. That was a tough part. But the brother of Nicolas Cage, he was cool. He was just weird enough. I dug him, man. He was definitely off. I liked when he was kind of figuring out that something ain't right about my big bro when he got to prison because they did the switch already. And he was like, something's off. And it's crazy doing the research and seeing that Nicolas Cage and Travolta, they would watch each other because they would have to study what one another did because they were playing each other. So, for example, Travolta would watch Nicolas Cage do the disgusting tongue thing, and he was like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to do that when I become him eventually, and vice versa, which is different in the movie, probably only could be done in a movie like this. So I've never really seen anything like it, but I thought it was pretty cool. It was also fascinating to know that the scene where Nicolas Cage was breaking out of prison and he was on top of the oil thing.
Yeah.
He actually has a fear of heights in real life.
Uh-huh.
And he said that was one of the hardest scenes he's ever had to film.
Wow.
Because the helicopter shooting blanks at him and he's running and stuff, but he's trying to realize, like, yo, I don't got much room to do stuff. Like, one bad move, I could fall off and seriously hurt myself. Plus, I'm like 100 plus feet up on something. It's a little terrifying, even though I'm an actor. But yeah, I thought both of those guys were terrific. It's very crazy that CB let us know Con Air came out like 17 days before. That's nuts, because both of those movies, even though they're great and bad at the same time, they were probably box office hits just because of the cast that they had and the big names and Travolta and Nicolas Cage.
I didn't realize there's something referred to as the Nicolas Cage Holy Trinity. Con Air, Face Off, and The Rock are known as the Holy Trinity to some fans. Nick Cage action movies.
Yikes.
That's another good, bad movie. You ever seen The Rock with
No,
him
I
and
have
Sean
not.
Connery?
I have
Oh,
not.
my God. That actually might be the best of these three movies. But, all right. So, with Face Off, interesting note, did you see they considered Sly and Arnold for the two guys?
Yeah.
They considered Michael Douglas and Harrison Ford, and they considered Alec Baldwin and Bruce Willis. Michael Douglas is an executive producer.
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't realize that.
Yo, MD's my dude.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get why I like that movie. I thought the boat scene at the very end, it was all right.
A little tough.
Yeah, it was okay.
That one won the MTV award that year for like best action sequence.
Wow.
Yeah. By the way, the Oscar nomination was for sound effects editing. It got nominated, did not win, but it was nominated for an Oscar.
Should have been.
Face
Deserved
Off.
it. Yo, probably the most eerie part of the movie for me, freaking Hyde from that 70s show, was in the car getting all frisky with Travolta's daughter.
That's in it. That plays a little different now, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh.
You like, not that you didn't root for him to get beaten up in that scene, but I was kind of rooting for it a little more this time.
Oh, you definitely should have got his ass whooped. But to know what we know now
Right.
about that actor,
Uh-huh.
that's very eerie, and that's weird.
Yep,
But
good point. Go look at Danny Masterson if you don't know what we're talking about.
Joan Allen was really good too. I thought she was really good.
She was great. She was great. I actually saw a 92 rating on Rotten Tomatoes for
I
this
saw
movie.
that too.
Still nowadays? That's crazy. That is so crazy. Yeah, it is. It's wild to think of two guys that are so iconic and they're each other. They're acting like they're each other in the late 90s. It was a wild idea. Watching it yesterday, it's such a strange idea. Like, I asked myself a question watching this movie I've never asked myself before, but I'm like, wait a minute. It's like in the late 90s. Did the LAPD not search for stuff?
Yeah.
Because I forgot why they did the facial switch procedure. And then I saw it play out last night, and I'm like, oh, they're trying to find a bomb. Couldn't you just search for it? Just look. Like, look.
Yeah.
He told you it was in Los Angeles, so go.
It's a big city.
I know it is. It's a really big city. You know, start looking. And then try to find some clues if you can, talk to people. I don't know if we need to go to the face thing, but obviously you had to do it for this incredible movie. John Woo directed Face Off. If you love slow motion, there's half the movie's probably in slow motion.
Yeah, and the church scene was really bad, where everybody's pointing guns at one another.
Man,
that's pretty awful.
What a predicament! Travolta's crazy lines. Cage's crazy lines early, and the Travolta's Travolta's crazy lines later. It's just so over the top, but you can't help but love Face Off. There's just something about it. It's just like eating cotton candy, but I mean, you know it's bad for you, but you still deal with it. Now, before I ask you for your grade, Zay, are you in for Face Off too?
Absolutely not.
No,
ain't no way you could. Especially this far out, a sequel? No. Hell no.
All right. Okay, they're talking about like having sons of each one somehow.
Yikes, that sounds horrible.
Okay.
That sounds awful.
Maybe it's the daughter grows up and then the son that he adopts at the anyway. I don't know. I'm not sure. All right.
I mean, the path she was going on, I'd be surprised if she was even alive.
You see what you're just you're old personing
What
her
you
there. All she did
mean?
was she had one piercing and smoked a couple cigarettes. That was it.
She was a little inconsistent. That's all I gotta say. She was a little off, but she did take Travolta's advice on protect yourself.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of hides out there. So whenever you get that situation and it backfired on them, stab and twist.
Twist. Remember, twist that knife.
Yeah, genius.
All right, give me a grade for Face Off. What do you think?
8.1.
Oh, wow. I was actually we were closer than I thought. I went 8.4. Look, I kicked it up 3 notches for the fun factor. It's just so much damn fun. God, it's fun. I don't know. I hate how fun that movie is sometimes, but it was fun. The double gold pistols for Cage in slow motion and the double holster in the back that he wears and stuff. It's just brilliant.
And his druggy box.
Yeah,
with like gum and pills and doobies and stuff.
I'm glad you noticed. The fact that they put chiclets in there was one of the funniest parts of that to me.
Also, another wild card scene when Travolta just brought in the kid at the very end, was like, hey, we're just going to be raising this kid now because I know we lost stars, and he's just going to substitute that. Yeah. And Joan Allen was just like, okay, I get it. Well, let's do it.
And plus, now the kid's got nobody to take care of him, right? Everybody's gone. Everybody's gone. You got to step up.
So is he going to be in Face Off too?
Maybe.
That'd be, oh, wow. Please don't do that.
As a cop, and the girl works for the CIA, and come on, let's go.
Please don't do that. That'd be a tough watch. I am 8.1.
I'm bringing my popcorn. All right, so Zay's going 8.1. I'll go 8.4 on Face Off. It's just too damn fun. Check it out if you have not. Travolta and Cage. Maybe not at their best, but it is damn entertaining, and John Woo does love his slow motion. All right, let's go to the album of the week. Zay decided it was time for me to go through an entire Ludacris album. He knows that I like some Atlanta stuff. He knows that I'm into T.I. Everything I've heard from Atlanta I like, and he knows I'm a Fast and Furious freak. So it all comes together on this Ludacris album. It was put out in November of 2001. It hit the Billboard charts at number 3. Hip-hop chart, it got to number 1. And Zay, it lost the best rap album at the Grammys to Eminem and the Eminem Show, which is another album that I love. That's a great record. So I guess I understand the thought process of maybe having that one over this one. But I was thoroughly entertained. And I brought up that Eminem record because that's who I thought of listening to this album. It was funny. It was clever. It was extreme. I mean, the rhythm of it was great. It didn't feel like it dragged. And everything I've heard Ludacris do to this point, I'd always liked it. Him added into different songs, but really enjoyed listening to an entire of him. That is one talented dude, and it's just that's a big hunk of fun rap from the early 2000s.
Yeah, it is fun. You know, it's an easy listen. It, again, makes you laugh. The lyrics are on point. The references are on point. Like his sports references are crazy.
Oh, dude, the sports references. And Jeff Howe was right. His pro wrestling references in that one track, Eddie makes 5 of them in one song.
Yo, he's different, and I don't think he's ever got the respect that he deserves because he is goofy. And in hip-hop, unless if you're Eminem, I mean, yes, Luda got a lot of love for it, but now people don't give him that credit just because all the videos, he had the big heads and the big feet and the big arms and Move B.
So he did that in multiple videos?
Yes, he did that all the time. That was his thing. I mean, look at the album cover of Word of Mouth. Like, look at the dog on trash can with the big ass.
His head.
With his mouth wide open and the crazy afro and stuff like that. Like, he was a fool. But area codes and, again, Move B and Saturday, just hits after hits.
Saturday's great.
Like Def Jam South was on point at that time. And coming from his first album with jams like What's Your Fantasy and Southern Hospitality, he got with the right amount of mainstream producers like a Swiss Beats and a Jazzy Faye and Timberland on Word of Mouth, and I think this is by far his best album, a classic album that doesn't get enough credit.
His best-selling album as well. Roll Out is a beat that I talked about. I'd heard it before. It's an incredible beat. That's a good song. Cry Babies is really good. I enjoyed Cry Babies a lot. You mentioned area codes. Again, every time Nate Dogg, I've got hoes, like he's just singing. I got hoes. Like he's really holding the note and everything. Area codes is great. Honestly, of the big hits, like the big compliment I'll give him is like Move Bitch is a good song. I don't know if it's a great song.
No, it's not.
It's good. The hook is incredible. They don't do a ton with the verses. That's probably the least of the hits for me.
Yeah, I have no idea where I-20 is right now. I know where Mystical is. He's in jail for that high type of stuff.
Oh,
so
I got you. Okay.
At Mystical, he had a good run. It was smart to put him on. I-20, see, like Disturbing the Peace, that was his record label that was a part of Def Jam South. So it was Luda's job to sign a whole bunch of guys under him. He did not do a good job at that. While you have 50 Cent with G-Unit, and that worked out, and Wu-Tang with all the guys that they got, Luda, Disturbing the Peace, not so much.
I like the skits on the album because they were kind of some self-deprecation in the skits, which I like that. And then later on, you mentioned Saturday. That's a great one. That little sound effect, that in Saturday, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then what else? Keep It on the Hush is a good song. The Word Mouth, the title track is good. And Cold Outside. I really enjoyed that one.
Oh, yeah, I like that song,
I like
too.
Cold Outside. Yeah.
Oh,
right.
it's cold outside.
Because he holds that big kind of low note and everything. Yeah, it's really good.
And you know what else makes a talented MC, rapper? Different rhyme schemes. Like Luda's ability in this song, who that bucket naked cook with the 3-course meals. Like he's able to switch up his style from like going at a different pace to really fast, where you're like, man, this is very talented, to where you could understand them fully and you hear the punchlines and the wordplay. And Jay-Z told him straight up, bruh, if you didn't do all that goofy stuff, you'd be one of the greatest of all time. And Luda, he took that as a compliment, but he was like, I like doing the goofy stuff. That's why my name is Ludacris.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That's a part of me. Luda was actually a radio guy. Like, he worked for an Atlanta radio station, and kind of everybody knew that he was putting out mixtapes in that area, and he finally got his big break, and he took off with it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And it's funny you say that, because early in the album, I heard a lot of it was cool wordplay and little innuendos and little analogies and stuff. And I thought, wow, if he does that for an entire album, I wonder if it'll be good. But he didn't do it for the entire album. He'd mix it up, like you said, kind of go back and forth with stuff. I thought it was great. All right, Zay, before I give you my grade, what would you grade Word of Mouth?
8-8.
8-8.
8-8.
On Word of Mouth. Well, you know me. I'm that summer school teacher that's going to give you a little extra love. I'm going to get Ludacris up into the A category. I'm going to go 9-3.
Wow.
9-3 on Word of Mouth.
Man.
I enjoyed it.
We need to go look at all of the reviews that we've had. I know you keep track of that, and I appreciate you do, because I damn sure do, on our ratings. Because I want to see the comparisons, like Liquid Swords and all of the Wu-Tang stuff that you listen to, and Nas. Like, what'd you give Nas?
Well, I think Nas was up in like 9.5, something like that.
Okay.
I think it was up there.
Yeah.
I think it was up a little higher than that. You said 8-8?
Yeah.
8-8 on Word of Mouth. It was really, really good. And just a lot of fun. Like that's not always a word you think of. Not a word that some people might think of with rap. Not all rap is fun. It's not designed to be that way. Just like other, metal. There's not all metal's fun. It's not supposed to be. But sometimes if it's done a certain way, that is a unique it's a unique album. It's a unique artist. And I can't imagine somebody would tell me that there's like 5 other rappers I could listen to that sounds exactly like Ludacris.
Yeah, and you also got to remember, too, like, this is still fresh off of Biggie and Pac and what happened with them. So a lot of artists and a lot of these record companies, they didn't want the dark, shriek, gangsta stuff as much. They wanted the fun stuff that other people could relate to, just because the East Coast, West Coast beef obviously got too dark. So people like Ludacris come along and, I wouldn't say save hip-hop, but take hip-hop in a different direction that we've never seen it before for the greater good. And that's a lot of, that's a big reason why Ludacris also doesn't get the respect, because there's certain songs that he could probably take more seriously that he just doesn't. Maybe Runaway Love with Mary J. Blige,
Mm-hmm.
where he opens up with little Lisa was only 9 years old. She's trying to figure out what the world is so cool. That's a deep song.
Uh-huh.
And that might be his only one. And he really shows his range there. But other than that, like, you know, that's why Pac was so legendary, because Pac could give you everything. He'd give you the street stuff. He'd give you the fun club records. He'd talk about his mama. He could talk about women. You know, it's just so many different things that were relatable with everybody in Pac. You couldn't necessarily say the same about Luda, even though his rhyme play and his word game was probably as good as a lot of top-tier guys that we've seen in the game.
See, I think a good boundary line is, like in the song Crybabies, you can talk about putting 2 in his dome, just don't tell me who he is.
Yeah.
And move on.
Yeah.
Because that's fun. When you get specific is when it didn't turn out fun.
Right.
It turned out very serious.
Like Growing Pains, that might be the deepest song on the album.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, that's a jam.
And it's a good track. Yeah, it is. That's good stuff. There's a lot of good stuff on there. That is 01, late 01 for Word of Mouth. All right, we've already determined next week the album movie swap. I've got to deal with the movie next week, and Zay's trying to continue the trend. Zay, would you consider this movie to be a good, bad movie?
It depends on who you are.
Okay.
As a true sports guy that looks at every single, if you're going to make a sports movie, I need to see some serious athletes.
Uh-huh.
Like He Got Game, which you probably need to see too. That's not what we got in line this week. But Spike Lee getting Ray Allen, who was a basketball player, to become an actor, that mattered for that movie, for very specific scenes in that movie, where you look at Michael J. Fox and Teen Wolf, very different. So there's scenes in this movie, Coach Carter, which you'll be watching.
Coach Carter.
Samuel L. Jackson, which he's great in basically everything he's in.
I love Samuel.
If you could take the basketball scenes, which are still pretty good, and not go too deep with it, you should be fine. And I don't think it's going to go in that same category as Last Boy Scout, Blue Chips, or any of the other crazy stuff we've seen as of late.
So we might actually be headed towards a good movie here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the run of good, bad movies might be over. This might be a good movie. Coach Carter next week. And for Zay, I realized that we haven't gone to this particular well, so I thought, let's go with a Beatles album for Zay. I'm going to go with what I think might be the best Beatles album.
There's a lot.
If I had to pick one, there's so many great ones. I'm going to have you listen to Revolver by the Beatles.
All right.
Yeah. Sounds violent. Not as violent as it sounds.
The Beatles?
You know, Revolver. 1966 and Revolver. It's the album to me that mixes early Beatles vibe and what would become the later Beatles vibe. It's right in the middle. It's right in the middle of it. And there's some incredible songwriting on there. So you'll go with Revolver next week, and I will check out Coach Carter.
I can't wait to watch that again.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I know some parts aren't the best, but I love it.
Well, there you go. Nothing wrong with a little guilty pleasure. That's what we've been doing. We're kind of on this weird run of guilty pleasure movies. I'm just glad you got through Face Off and enjoyed it. Now I feel like your life is a little more complete, and mine is too, because I rewatched big hunks of Face Off last night. All right, coming up, why today matters. It is June 8th. We'll hit you with a couple of birthdays and hit you with a couple of the big stories of the day, including Longhorn football feeling the need to change up signals and how they get sent in to the team because maybe the opponents are figuring stuff out. That's up next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
I feel like I'm waiting for a certain voice here.
I mean, if you're waiting for that voice, you won't hear him right off the bat. I mean, it's his crew.
Okay. I was going to say, is Easy E on the way, or is it another Easy?
Yeah, he's on the way.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
There he is. There he is. So good. So good.
One of the greatest voices of all time.
He's awesome. Awesome.
He just sounds
God, he's
so
awesome.
cool.
He's so awesome. I love clarity. He's one of my favorite, just clear, you hear every syllable rapper. You hear every single thing that he can't disguise that he wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't think he could mumble if he wanted to mumble. Everything is so clear.
If only somebody could give him a condom. If he had a condom, man, that would have changed everything. But
now that's a serious rap song waiting to be written. What if Eazy-E had a condom?
Yo, they made him look bad in the biopic, Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
How he would just always be at the party, be like, well, time to go do my thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, God. It's just how you know how he went out. It's like,
Yeah, that's
put the
tough.
Jimmy hat on, dog.
That is
You
tough.
know?
Tough.
All the women. Oh,
Got to be
man.
careful.
Gotta be careful.
Got to be careful out there. All right. A lot of good stuff going on today. We just hit the album and movie swap with Ludacris and Face Off. That was a lot of fun. Denver had a lot of fun last night, beating Miami 109-94, and it didn't quite feel that close. The first quarter was dead even, and for the rest of the game, 15-point margin for Denver. They did not get outscored in that fourth quarter. Miami didn't do that to them again, and they're up 2-1. We've talked about CP3 and Dalvin Cook both getting released in their respective sports. And we have a Texas football story we'll get back into here. If you're a Longhorn football fan and you haven't heard about this play calling thing, we'll try to explain it to you right now. I'll also get a rap question for Zay because we got a big rapper with a birthday today. But if you're a Texas fan, here's the basics of the story. If you go to horns247.com, shout out to Jeff Howe and the crew at horns247.com. A lot of great stuff over there as we get closer to Texas football. They have their insider segment today, and their insider article, I should say, that hits on Thursdays. And they have, nuggets and pieces of news, little things they're hearing from summer workouts. And one of them is that from a source, they find out that Texas is changing the way that they deliver signals. And I'll be honest, I haven't heard the details of, is it just offense or is it offense and defense? But the way signals are being sent into the game is being changed in some way because they feel like, Zay, that opponents were figuring them out a little bit. The Bama game and TCU games were kind of mentioned. The names of these three new analysts were mentioned as maybe helping out to figure this out. I don't know if one of them gets credit for really saying, aha, look, I see something. But apparently everybody put their heads together and was able to figure this out. So the question I guess I had for you, Zay, at this point, if we're going to be realistic, do you think this is something that multiple programs deal with in the offseason? It's just that we don't hear about it?
Yeah, to a certain extent.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. If you're going back and you're really self-scouting like you should, or would somebody tell me, no, Chad, this happens, but this needs to happen that next week. It needs to happen 2 weeks after that, where you go, man, I felt like they figured us out a couple weeks ago. Let's go look at that film. Should it just happen quicker than it's happening here?
Yeah, and the most frustrating part about the story coming out is the games that might have been affected due to Steve Sarkisian messing up and allowing the other team to figure out some way what they're doing based off of week to week game plan, and that was the TCU game and the Alabama game, which were right in the palm of your hands. Yes, I know a lot of other things could have went the Horns' way to make that game change and switch, but it didn't happen that way, and now this is coming out very frustrating. But like I've been saying all show when we talk about this, when you have all of those freshmen getting significant minutes like a Quinn Ewers and a Kelvin Banks, as good as Kelvin Banks was, dominating all of those edge rushers that were, first round picks in this year's draft, it's your job as a coach to make their life easier. And maybe Sark was thinking that we got to keep it simple with our vocabulary and our terminology when it comes to how we want to run our offense, because these young guys maybe could get overwhelmed. And now we're seeing that might have backfired.
So here's another angle we haven't gotten into today. What about the idea that if it really is Bama and let's say TCU, both are home games, could there be something where maybe they were just, without realizing it, getting a little relaxed on something at home, but feeling like they needed to tighten it up a little more on the road because they know they're in somebody else's environment?
Possibly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like maybe they learned something about that. Like, wait a minute, is there a tell that we have at home that we protect ourselves from on the road? Because we're like, well, if we're at Alabama, if we're at TCU, that's totally different. But something gets maybe relaxed at home.
Yeah, good point.
But it is something that, again, it's not something you want to hear. If you're a fan through the years in covering different versions of Texas, it'll come up now and again. When, Cowboys fans following their team really closely. Every fan base, I think, will have that thing where you're like, man, I watch the TV and tell you. I'll watch TV and tell you what they're doing. Third and whatever. They put in that certain, personnel package. I know exactly what they're doing. I remember the Texas-Oregon bowl game way back with Joey Harrington.
Wow. Cover NCAA football 03.
I remember hearing something coming out of that game from the Oregon players that they felt like they knew what Texas was doing.
Yeah.
The defensive guys for Oregon felt like they knew what was coming offensively for Texas. So this is something that is as old as the hills in football and every sport of, are you giving something up? Are you tipping your pitches, so to speak, in your particular sport? Obviously, this is something where maybe Sark figured something out. And again, to the possible silver lining in this story, if you're a Texas fan, maybe this can help them figure out what's been going on. And you get an idea of, it's like if you go to the doctor and you hear something you never even thought of. Oh, you've got a predisposition to this. Oh, wait, you didn't realize your family has a history of this? Oh, wait, hold on. I got that. Now I can take a pill every day and it's different and it'll be better. In this case, is that why we end up in so many close games? Is that why my record in one-score games sucks? Is that why our second halves are really bad? Is that why my fan base thinks that I'm really good to prepare for the first quarter, but they think I'm awful at adjustments? Could it be a little bit to the fact that the other team is pre-adjusting to me because they know what I'm doing?
Right.
So there's a lot of angles there, but in a way, there could be good news here if he can realize it and then make that adjustment in time.
When you inherit a ball club like Sark did, taking the place of Tom Herman, and you're only in year 2, like you heard what Sark said on the Pivot podcast to Fred Taylor and all those guys. He was like, these guys in year 3, they sound like my guys. And that's kind of what the hurdles that you have to go through in that transition when you're becoming the coach, because a lot of those guys, they are playing off of what Tom Herman was throwing in their ear. And even though it's football, obviously Tom Herman goes about things a lot different than Steve Sarkisian does. So you have to turn a lot of guys' heads around and just hold thoughts around on your philosophy, and with that comes different terms and vocabulary that you might not be used to. So if Sark sees that and then says, man, maybe I have to go backwards just for us to have a productive offense, then I could see why you have these kind of mistakes. But yeah, I completely agree with you, and it is very frustrating, but Yeah, hopefully it's gotten cleaned up and they can move on. And these things can't happen when you go to the SEC because, again, like you said earlier, they're gonna be looking for stuff like this.
Yeah, just all these little details. Like, here's one: if already does Kirby Smart factor in that A.D. Mitchell is at Texas by changing something? Does he, even if they're not on the schedule in the next couple years, does he factor in? Well, if A.D. Mitchell is at Texas. As soon as every year, I know I'm going to lose some guys. I'm going to lose this guy to the transfer portal. He's going here. He's going there. Instead of worrying about all the details, we're just going to change a little bit about everything. I don't know what the modern version of that is, but obviously there's maybe something that they, could have found here. And like I said earlier, I want to know how honest will Sark be about this? Will he admit that, that this story is true? Will he admit that the report is true? Again, this is coming from a source of somebody that's watching summer workouts because thankfully for our business, nobody can shut up. Nobody can keep secrets. Nobody can just keep stuff to themselves. So would he admit to this? Would he own this? And then will he let us know who saw it? Would he let us know, was it one of the assistants? Actually, it was a trainer. Actually, it was this person. Zay, somebody texted us earlier. Y'all know they put people in the press box just to watch the other team's signals.
Oh, yeah. The binoculars on you. Everyone.
You're a GA. You're up there. Part of what you're doing maybe at the beginning of things is, you've got the binocs, and, hey, I want you staring at that DC all day. All day. Tell me what he does. See if you can find patterns. What are the hands? That's why when you see the sideline of college game, in this case, you got one guy doing hand signals, one guy's holding up a card with Michael Scott from The Office, the next guy's doing calisthenics, and there's like 4 or 5 people, and you don't know who's live.
Yeah.
Just at baseball, same way, right? All the signals are being given.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's all about the inner workings of the game. Somebody texted us earlier, so you're saying everybody cheats. No, that's not what we're saying. Because there's that
ain't cheating.
That's that fine line. If you're using heavy electronic equipment and you're planning it on their sidelines to record it, well, that's cheating.
Yeah.
But if I see that your right tackle moves his foot differently on a run play than a pass play, and I let my DN know that, and I'm right, well, that's just paying attention.
Right. Yeah, there's an OU guy right now on the frontage road 35 with binoculars trying to peek in and see what's going on in practice. That's illegal.
Yeah, that's cheating. That's cheating.
That's flat out.
Can't do that.
This is.
But during a game?
Yeah, this is you not being buttoned up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like just scouting from game to game. Like, oh, this guy, he's been going left a lot. He likes to shoot going left. We see that. We're going to stop it. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. It's just making adjustments, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would agree with you on that. So now it's going to be about Sark and his crew making those self-adjustments, being able to look at it. So if you're going to try to get a good feeling about this, Texas fans, Paul Chryst move, speaking to that running game, I think that's an interesting angle. And now if you've got, whether it's Chryst or somebody else around him, or maybe it was Sark himself, that said, we're really going to take a look at this. I got this feeling that this was happening in the third and fourth quarter. Why am I getting that feeling? And then either he or somebody was able to say, that's why. Look at that right there. Do you see that? That safety knows exactly what you're doing. Exactly. He saw your signal. He knew what you were doing. And do you know why? Because your signal was the same as it was in the Bama game.
Right.
You know, just looking at those things. And at some point, can it go too far and you're outguessing yourself? Yes. But in this case, it just sounds like they had some pretty good intel and info. Like, all right, let's go. We need to switch it.
Yeah, and you can't be an arrogant thinker and say, oh, well, we're just better than you. It doesn't matter if you know our plays or not. We're going to beat you. Because obviously that's not a thing. You want to get to that point, and there's some schools that definitely could do that.
Yeah,
Georgia, maybe. Bama, schools like that. They've probably done it all year, throughout Kirby Smart and Nick Saban's career, and just boat race teams not giving a damn what they scouted or what they've seen. And again, yes, you want to get to that point, but you weren't there last year. And to have this happen, it's very disappointing.
All right, real quick before the break, Zay, today is the 46th birthday of Kanye West. Can I still listen to Kanye records and it be okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm still all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
He hasn't wilded out recently.
Okay. Yeah, there's a Kanye record that somebody told me I needed to listen to, and I haven't yet. I've heard, I think years ago, I did listen to College Dropout. Is that what
the
it's called?
first one? Mm-hmm.
But then there's another one later on Somebody told me might be his best album. I got to check that out. I just know if I'm allowed. I don't want to get caught listening to Kanye and get in trouble.
You better be careful.
Right. I got
sensitivity training.
Got to be real careful. All right. Coming up, stems and seeds before we get out of here. Get you set up for your Thursday, including Ball Don't Lie, which is coming up next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Know somebody that knows somebody.
Just about done on a Thursday. I love this. Love the sample. Should I know it?
No. I mean, one of the guys.
All right. Who is it?
Trick Daddy.
Trick Daddy.
Featuring Lil Jon and Twista. There you hear Lil Jon right there.
Yeah, there he is. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That one I should have been able to get. Yeah, and the sampling of Ozzy Osbourne there. With Crazy Train. The
Yeah.
Wow. Good sample there. I like it. Also, the Ludacris album sampled some classical music, too. Very, very uppity of Ludacris. I like
Seriously.
that. Like that, when the guys are sampling all kinds of different things. Artists picking from all different areas of music. Trick Daddy. We had No Doubt, Nickelback, Lou Gramm, The Clash. What did I just miss? There was something I just missed.
Luda, Moneymaker?
Ludacris, yes, Ludacris himself. And then the Ludacris beat to start the hour. We talked about Word of Mouth today. The album swap and the movie swap was Face Off. Zay checked out Face Off for the very first time. Nobody forgets their first Face Off. Man, oh man. And for those of you that wanted us to do a talk-off for the rest of the show where Zay talks like me and I talk like Zay, I don't know if we're going to do that.
Yeah, that's tough.
I'm not sure if we're going to do that. Because if I tried to recreate the Zay laugh, I don't know if I could get my voice to go. I don't know if I could get up that high. And I don't know if Zay could make himself dorky enough to get, to be me. I don't know if I would have you lower yourself to that level.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm not even going to try.
No, I wouldn't do
I've
it.
heard how bad my Mike Tyson is. So
Yeah.
if I struggle at that,
There's
Chad,
no way.
Yeah, not so much.
I don't think it's going to happen. All right, let's get you stems and seeds before we get out of here. Here we go.
No stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. If you missed us saying it earlier, QB1 in Carolina is officially Bryce Young now. They made that announcement, so Andy Dalton is officially the backup as of right now. I think everybody knew that was kind of coming.
Good backup to have, though.
That is definitely a good backup to have. That's exactly what he needs to be right now. Be the guy that can step in for a couple games if you need to. How about this story, Zay? I just saw it. Frank Clark is going to remain in the division, but he's going to the Broncos. 1-year deal for the former Chief. Still a badass, Frank Clark, $7.5 million if he reaches the incentives. Turns 30 next week. DeAnd still got enough at 30?
Yeah, I mean, he was big for that Super Bowl team this past season.
Yeah,
but
Frank's still pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't trip if I was a Kansas City fan or anything.
Cowboys fans, Dalvin Cook is officially available today. Zay, you're still thinking the Dolphins are the first team we'll hear about?
Yes.
Showing interest?
Yeah, I do.
What's going on with the DeAndre Hopkins thing, too?
I heard he's taking a visit to Nashville to see what's going on with the Tennessee Titans, which I wouldn't be very excited about that, knowing the quarterback situation going on there. But who knows? Maybe Will Levis will be that top 5 pick that a lot of people thought he was going to be when the draft day came up.
Zay, did you see the score last night, that softball game? Oklahoma, Florida State. They finally got to play. 5-0 Oklahoma.
Shocker.
Jordy Ball is the pitcher, threw a complete game shutout. So not only can they hit, they got her. Got somebody making a home run stealing catch out in the field just in case. She's now 22-1 with a .92 ERA this year.
Wow.
And she's got 21 2/3 scoreless inning streak going at the World Series. If you need her.
Be patient, Longhorn fans. That 30 for 30 on Oklahoma softball PEDs will be out in 10 years or so. Be patient, because something is so fishy about that. It's ridiculous.
Coming up next, it's Ball Don't Lie with Rod and Harge and Patrick. 7 o'clock tonight, Longhorn Blitz podcast, digging deep into Texas football. And 8 o'clock, it's Patrick and the crew with Insincerious. So if you haven't checked out the